Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports, news, and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the Eagle Eye, Bill Cerna, and the best co-host anyone could ask for, Cuervo. We cover it all. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. Now, it's time. Here's Sonny Clark.
To the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, as we are here on a special Monday of different edition. Of that being said, as we normally do our show on Sunday, Cuervo was unable to make it. And that being said, I had a long week after last week. Last week we didn't do a show. I worked many hours to get up to our main event called Soar Mania 2. And after that, working up to it and then going through Soar Mania, the Saturday starting at 4 o'clock in the morning, not ending until midnight Sunday morning. Just took everything out of me. And yesterday, Cuervo couldn't make it. We were both off today, so we decided to do an afternoon edition on Monday. Of that being said, here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Hope everybody is having a wonderful, had a wonderful weekend. Father's Day was okay, guys, I'm back. As I lost my screen and everything. As far as we're having brownouts here in Texas, just to let everybody know, I am back. Hello, everybody. We're having brownouts in Texas, and every once in a while the electricity will cut through. Thanks for everybody for holding on. Thanks for checking in, as I see a couple of people have checked in. Thanks for your patience here. Again, just last week, unable to do the show. Yesterday, Cuervo was unable to jump in and be with us, and I figured it's always better to have Cuervo for even a short amount of time compared to not having him at all. So we decided to go ahead and do the show today more so than doing it another day or skipping it altogether. as my computer screen is popping all around here as it's restarting and everything. But a lot of things happening today in sports. There's lots of talking. One interesting thing that's really, and I didn't even have this on here, there seems to be right now a lot of hate for a certain wrestler, a certain basketball player. And Durant right now seems to be getting a lot of heat, whether it is unearned, maybe highlights, people calling him the next best thing. Has he succeeded as passing LeBron and all this other stuff? And it seems like I have figured it out. Guys, I had an epiphany while I was reading this stuff today. We are really in a place where we've got to stop it. I'm telling you right now. So this is what I say. It is time to stop it. We are so quick to anoint the next Jordan. We're so quick to anoint great players. Like we are dying to bring these accolades onto people who haven't even come close to deserving it right now. And I'm going to tell you what I think. And it just runs down. Talk about LeBron James. I actually moved him ahead of Larry Bird. And then not getting out the first round really kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Now, if you know this show, okay, I don't think it's any stretch for me to say that I'm not a LeBron James fan, never have been, never will be, all this other crap, So if someone was to ask Sonny, what do you think about LeBron? Is he the next Jordan? The line is, it's just not ready to do that. When I moved him ahead of Bird in as far as the greats were concerned, I took the step back on LeBron James. This guy is got to be the biggest crybaby as far as NBA is concerned. I don't get it. And I don't know if I ever will. I mean, that's all he just cries and cries and cries. Whether it's about one thing, it's another. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm a little tired of it. And he's making it almost unwatchable just for being LeBron. And you can say whatever you want about LeBron. I mean, we could go back into deep, okay? Everybody talks about him like he is God's next gift. I mean, just take a look at this. If you go by Doc Rivers. Okay, now Doc Rivers, listen, the guy's got mad props. This guy has got creds. I really believe it. If LeBron James had played football, he may have been the greatest football player ever. And there's another example of you just got to stop it. LeBron James could not play in the NFL. I'm just saying, because just simple enough that LeBron James is the most weak guy ever. Good to see the new SOAR North American heavyweight champion, the Master of Destruction, Justin James. Always good to see. And here, look at this. My guy, the big dog, it is the crying game. And your guy, big dog, is the biggest reason why we are seeing it. It just turns it, like you said, into the crying game right here. And I'm tired of it. And yet we're so quick to anoint this guy to be the next best thing to come along. And it is really insulting because I put LeBron right back behind Larry Bird at number 6. I have Larry Bird at 5. I have LeBron James at 6. Sometimes I even wonder, I don't know. I'm tired of people deciding that greatness is decided up on 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. When guys back in the day, yes, from old school guy, Sonny Clark, where guys did it for years. Yeah, what? And this just happened just last week. I forget who it was, but a pitcher went 9 innings just recently. And all of a sudden, guess what? We got to sit him. Like he pitched 2 games in one. Whatever happened to Nolan Ryan? What happened to these guys that go out and pitch and then 2 or 3 days later up again? Oh, no, he needs rest. He's a great pitcher, but he needs rest. Guys, you don't need rest if all you're doing is being an athlete. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it, that I don't feel sorry. He is your guy. Oh, Big Dog, you're so full of it. He's on your team, you're right. And by the way, just so that you know, he's destroying the legacy of the Los Angeles Lakers because of what you it's almost like we're reading each other's mind, Big Dog. And your team is one of the biggest offenders of coddling your guy. Well, I'll say your guy in a facetious way there, Big Dog. Hey, Big Dog, if you want to come along, I would love to have. In fact, I will send you out an invite over in Facebook. If you want to come and talk some LeBron James with Cuervo, Cuervo's supposed to be here soon. We would love to have you. I don't know if you're at work or you're unable to do it or whatever the case may be, but I will tell you, we would love to have some of the Big Dog on, and just so where you at? There you are, and I'm going to send you a message. You should get it in just a few moments if you want to come on and talk LeBron, because guess what? There are a lot of, normally this is a football show. We are usually talking, and we will. But we normally talk football, but there are a lot of basketball things going on out there right now. So there, I sent you the message. If you could get in, great, Big Dog. We would love to have you. And yes, I would love, and we are. Scottie Pippin is one of the subjects that we are going to be talking about today. And so much so, yes, I'm a professional. Okay, all right, that was a joke. But here it is. Right here, Cuervo, you need to get in and defend your boy. Because right now, I'm going to tell you, this is what he says. I don't think it's a mystery, talking about bringing in Coach for the last play to win. And by the way, which game the Bulls won. Anyway, I don't think that it's a mystery. You need to read between the fine lines. And those are in air quotes, fine lines. This is what he said after why he did not re-enter the game back in the day when the last play was set for Coach out of the break. And this is what he says. It was my first year playing without Michael Jordan. Why wouldn't I be taking that last shot? I've been through all the ups and downs, all the battles, positions. Now you're going to insult me and tell me to take it out? In other words, throw it into Coach. I thought it was a pretty low blow. I felt like it was an opportunity to give Coach a rise. And here is where he has got to stop. I'm just going to tell you right now, he has got to stop. He goes, it was a racial move to give him a rise after all I've been through with the organization. Now you're going to tell me to take a ball out and throw it to Coach? You're insulting me, and that's how I felt. And I'm just going to just say it straight out that Scottie Pippin, you got to stop it. Yeah, you've got to stop it. We're talking about one play in your illustrious career with the Chicago Bulls. One play, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, Coach sunk it, and if I'm not mistaken, they advanced. So And I'm tired of everything being racial. All right, I'm going to say it because I don't care. You either can agree with me or not, but we have had an overflux of not just in sports, but just in general, of a lot of things people are throwing the racial card at, and we got to stop it. So yes, Sonny says stop it. Because if we don't stop it, first of all, it's going to ruin sports. Second of all, it's going to ruin friendships. Third of all, you need to understand a context more so than what you're reading. You can read something, but not knowing the context, and that quick rush to judgment is going to hurt a lot of things, whether sports, friendship, family, or whatever. And we got to stop being so sensitive too. But Scottie Pippin really, really, really needs to knock it off. He is embarrassing himself because by the way, this is just not one of the things that he's talking about. This guy can't seem to shut up to save his life. He feels like he has got to go on. He feels like his opinion has to be heard because he's Scottie Pippin. He feels like since he's a six-time champion, he should be heard. But here's the thing. There's one thing to be a six-time champion. There's another one to be the best thing to come along since Fruit Punch. Granted, top 50 player of the decade. Hey, say whatever you want. But Cuervo, speaking of...
You didn't know?
In case you didn't know... On a Monday afternoon, it is Cuervo, and I'm so excited to see him. There he is. What's up, my brother?
What's up, Sonny Clark? What's up?
But Cuervo, your boy, Scottie Pippin.
Here we go.
Cuervo, it's real simple. This is what happened. Right there. He just needs to stop. I mean, he's putting out a book, so all of a sudden everybody seems to want to talk to Scottie Pippin or get his opinion on things right now. I think the book releases September or November 1. Those two, it doesn't matter. But now he's got diarrhea of the mouth right now, Cuervo. This guy cannot shut up.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. And, he's got attention of a lot of people right now, so...
He is pissing people off all over the NBA. And the one that you didn't see because it's long, but this is basically the coach deal. He called it racial. I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost sure that it can't be racial because I know he had Michael Jordan, I know he had the Horseman, he had a lot of black guys on that team. Okay, and the coach Phil, he worked with every single one of them and worked them at the best of their skills. This is one play in this guy's illustrious career, Cuervo. This guy won't shut up about or forget about. Now, I get it. I understand. He's pissed. I get it. Maybe I might be a little pissed, but to live on that. Cuervo, we're talking about something that happened how many years ago? Close to 20 years ago? You want to talk a bad taste in your mouth? That's worse than NutraSweet, for God's sake.
No, it was more like close to 30 years ago.
Well, close to 30. Okay, yeah. There we go. By the way, you don't know this. We got a special guest in the chat room.
Okay.
A big dog wanting to talk. Always good to see him. And speak of the devil, how about that? We'll bring him on in. It is the big dog himself.
Big dog.
What is up, my brother? Always good to see him. And let me get the boom. No, there we go. It's out of it. I can fully see him. What is up, big dog? Where are you at, by the way, right now?
I'm in my apartment, and I brought out over my, I guess for you guys, it looked like over my right shoulder. The Captain America is in honor of course, General America over here.
Got it. I understand. So let me ask you a question. Okay, we were talking Scottie Pippen.
Yeah,
And right away, just the one deal about Tony Kukoc. We're talking 30 years ago, like Cuervo said. I mean, you know how NutraSweet leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I don't know. He got a rancid case of it because 30 years later, he still has a bad taste. And then he threw the racial card up on top of it, and that's where I think I have gotten to the point where I want this guy to stop it. And just because he's putting out a book, this guy thinks that his authority, because of the 6 rings, if it wasn't for Michael, it wouldn't have been 6. But I mean, he's an authority, and everybody wants to hear from him. Do you want to hear from Scottie Pippen all the time?
I mean, I listen to The Jump with Rachel Nichols a lot on ESPN, and he comes on as a guest, and he's usually extremely laid back. He gives very good analysis of what's going on or whatever the subject is. But today he just seemed pissy because I actually have actually saw the video portion of that part. He was on the Dan Patrick show.
Right.
And I'm trying to look now for the entire episode as to see if he came on kind of pissed off or if the subject just came up and he got mad about it. But and also when did he get Ricky Hendersonitis?
Or become an authority on all subjects basketball, which if you take away from this book, you only heard from him here and there and everywhere. I mean, not every week. I mean, he's not Shaq. He's not Charles. He's not these guys that we're hearing a lot from, the old school guys. Hell, you may hear more from Isaiah Thomas than we've heard from Scottie Pippen. I mean, it's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, and then another thing that he mentioned, and of course, you announce wrestling, and I of course have been watching wrestling forever. I know Cuervo's somewhat dabbles in wrestling, but not much. But I mean, he's saying the whole thing about Steve Kerr getting the last shot was a work because the cameras are on, and Michael knew the cameras were on, so he said, let in his mind he's saying let Steve get the shot, but it's actually me that's calling all the shots. And that's what Scottie inferred, saying the whole thing was because the cameras were on. He said had the cameras not been there, that's not the way it would have went.
Oh, that was terrible. Crazy knuckleheaded terrible.
It's dumb things like this that you end up getting in your hand. Cuervo, this is a big sour grapes thing, and it stems from the fact that he couldn't do it after Michael decided to say adios, and then he was left to carry the thing, put it on his shoulders. And the fact of the matter is, he might have been okay at doing that, but a consistent thing of putting it on his back, Cuervo, we just never saw that from Scottie Pippen of being the guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that the year that Michael retired, we all saw that, and the number of wins that the Bulls had dropped, their success obviously in the playoffs dropped.
Yep.
And I think more than anything though, Scottie wasn't that vocal alpha male that the Bulls were used to having with Michael in the locker room and on the floor. And Scottie was not that guy. He just wasn't. I don't know if it was just because he'd never had to take on that role when Michael was there, or it's just that's just his personality to where you weren't going to get that from him.
Right.
It was more, he almost like, and I'm not saying he's at that level, but Jerry Rice, you could say, was the same way.
Good point.
I mean? Not a very vocal leader, but he just went out there and he performed. And that's what you got with Scottie Pippen. He really didn't vocalize too much. He just went out there and he performed, talked a little trash to, Spike Lee, and he dunked on Patrick Ewing and all that good stuff. But, other than that, though, I mean, he wasn't that. I don't think you got the vocal leader in him that you did with Michael. So I don't know if that's the case where maybe he just felt like he wasn't respected as much. But at the same time, I mean, what did you do to really earn that respect, earn that title of leader of the team? And a lot of people criticize Scottie because, you know, he quit on the team at the end of a playoff game.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially that Kukoc play. Hey,
And
Cuervo,
that was the play, yeah.
The simple fact of the matter is everybody in that building knew if Pippen was in there, he was going to get that ball. Simple
Right.
as that. Okay, listen, last play of the game, everybody knew that Pippen, or at least that was the thought. That's what makes the call by Phil Jackson so great, by the way, because everybody knew that it was going to go to Pippen, and he went to Kukoc and he buried it. And then the racial card starts flying around. And listen, it's one thing to be the guy or the next person that's going to be anointed. And in this case, let's be honest, they were expecting Scottie to pick up a little bit from where Michael would be, with a little bit of adjustment in his attitude. Because let's be honest, you know, I don't want to call Scottie Pippen weak. I'll call him weak now just because of what he's doing. It seems like he's weak-minded. But during the play, he could have been that guy. I mean, Big Dog, do you think that Scottie Pippen – now, granted, I don't think anybody thought that he would be on Michael Jordan level. But, I mean, still elite player that could carry a team. Did you think that after Michael went out and passed on and went into retirement?
I always thought Scottie was an elite player and deserved that best top 50 of all time, the whole accolades. I never saw him though as the guy that's going to lead you to a championship.
Got it.
No offense, Cuervo. You know, he was probably. I mean, and I can say this, you know, I think with confidence that he was probably the best complimentary player of all time, and that's not a dig on him. That is not a dig. That, you know, you got to have that complimentary B player to take you to the championship. I think his problem is, in his mind, he thought he was as good as Jordan, and it's sour grapes now, all these years later, that Robin couldn't become Batman.
Exactly.
And now this, accusing Phil Jackson of being a racist. I have never heard anything like that from anybody of all the teams that he's coached. Has never even suggested that.
Yep.
You know, now I like what Dan Patrick was saying, because he said, oh, well, you know, he coached Kobe in the early 2000s, then he left, he wrote that book and said all this stuff about Kobe, and then he came back and coached him again. Now, I like the way Dan Patrick was saying, okay, well, yeah, he's disloyal, kind of like Joe Torre, the way Joe Torre wrote that book after he left the Yankees. But to say he's racist because he wrote a book, you know, telling all the behind-the-scenes stuff, that's not being racist. No. I mean,
now it's just seeing the fact on what the best play was to be called.
Yeah, and I thought it was a great call because
he faked everybody out.
Exactly, well, and that's what you want.
Here's the thing: it would have been a bigger fake if Pippen was on the floor when that happened.
Yes,
they still went. Yeah. They still went to Kukoc, but could you imagine the toss in and the toss back to him was the idea, and everybody thought that's the way it was going to be. And then Kukoc also buries the shot, which in turn makes it, obviously, it's always better when we are talking about whether it's successful or not. But the simple fact of the matter is it worked. But there's another case. There's a guy that wanted greatness thrust upon him without really being able to earn, in Pippen's case, the magnitude of what Jordan was brought to the game. There's no question he wasn't. And you take a look at today's player, okay, and the magnitude of what they bring, and that takes us to LeBron. Cuervo, I mean, this is Doc Rivers up there talking about he really believes that LeBron James, had he had played football, he would have been the greatest football player. LeBron James wouldn't even be able to handle Bill Laimbeer down the middle. Okay, never mind getting his ass smashed every single play. So I'm sorry, I can't make that step. Is he a great athlete? I'll give him that all day long. But guess what? Cuervo, how many great athletes are there? There are thousands, but there's only so many that are elite, and so many that takes that extra step. And right now, when you look at even Scottie Pippen saying the dumbest thing. I mean, listen, I don't watch basketball as much as the guy below us right here. Okay, This guy right there, that guy watches basketball. Okay, I don't watch it because it's almost unwatchable. But I'm not even dumb enough to believe that he didn't do it without help. Of course, he had help. He had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and then they grabbed up Kevin Love. Now he's over in LA. I mean, this guy picks up the phone. He probably did it after and said, "Okay, who can we get next to bring on there?" And so much so that's the rumor is that he picked up the phone, called Stephen Curry, and Curry's laughing his ass off because Curry is like the old school guys, the Magic, Bird, Jordan. I don't want to play. I want to be the best. I don't want to play with people who think that they're the best. I want to show them I'm the best, and that's what he lacks today. In LeBron James, that's where he's at right now, and he's on your Laker team there, big dog. So, what do you feel about that?
I mean, as you are, and Cuervo knows too. LeBron has never been my guy, my player. I'm in the same boat as you. He's a great player, but I've never liked him. Now,
are you glad you? Wait.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Are you glad he's a Laker?
Yes. Okay. When you have that level of player, that's a top 5 player, because when he came over, he was probably top 3 in the league. Of course, if you can have a top 3 player come to your team, you're not gonna say no.
Mm-hmm.
But so yes, and he's been here 3 years, brought us 1 chip, which I'm happy.
Was it real though? I mean, Charles Barkley said, "Hey, you were in the bubble." That wasn't real. And parts of me wants to believe Chuck. Okay,
yeah,
parts of me wants to believe that because I'm old school and I don't like him, so I'm right there with it. But the parts of me thinks that it might be real because of the consequences, because of what ended up happening.
And
so
that's exactly what I tell people. The people that say, "Oh, it's not a real chip. You guys only have like half a ring, or it wasn't deserved." I call BS on that only because 22 teams went into that bubble. They all had the same chance to get a title.
Yeah.
There was no travel. There was no, you had to do your COVID testing twice a day or whatever the hell it was. So everybody, and the playing field was completely level. And I'm sorry, well, actually, I'm not sorry. We came out on top.
I agree.
We were the guys that were able to tough it out. Now, I will grant you, we were essentially injury free.
Right.
We had some and that's the main thing. That's why this year, us losing the first round, I'm, of course, not happy with it, but I'm okay with it because LeBron was 70% injured. AD was out. Caruso had the back injury. Schroeder was recovering from his COVID illness, so he was having his problems. KCP had the bad knee that I think he's having surgery on. So most of our guys were hurt. So I wasn't really I was expecting maybe to get the second round, maybe the conference finals, but it is what it is. Phoenix is on fire, and they're going to beat the Clippers, and I'm going to be so happy if they beat the Clippers today.
And that brings up Kawhi Leonard. That brings up the Kawhi Leonard situation. He's not, according to what I read, he won't be ready for, is it game 5? I think it's game 5.
He's not coming back.
He's not going to come back completely. He's not coming back. That's a killer for the Clips.
It's an ACL injury.
But Cuervo, just really quick, LeBron James, was that championship last year? Was it real? What's your opinion upon the COVID champion, or should it be an asterisk, or what's your take on it?
It's called the bubble championship, is what they're calling it.
Yeah, the bubble champion. What do you think? Cuervo, what do you think about the bubble championship?
Look, I'm just going to say this, big dog, for you and all Laker fans around the country, around the world. You guys have nothing to apologize for. Everybody wants to think negative. Here's the other side. Oh, yeah. Let's just be glad we had an NBA season because
true.
A lot of stuff got canceled, could have been canceled, got short. Whatever. If anything, it means more just because of how much more each game meant. And I say the same thing about Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Where, the Dodgers, they got lucky that they won the World Series, or it's not a real World. No, that's not true. If anything, it means more, again, because every game is that much more impactful just to get into the postseason. And once you got in the postseason, everything went back to, 5-7 game series, whatever. Yeah. But But as much as I'm not a fan of LeBron, I mean, I'm not going to discredit the championship at all.
Yeah.
They did get very fortunate that they didn't hit injuries last year, but you know what? That's just the way it goes. Like, there's nothing to apologize for. You took advantage of the fact that there was no injuries, and hey, good for you.
Absolutely. And think about this. What's going on right now? Right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The Suns are playing the best basketball in the NBA.
Yep.
Okay. I hate to admit this. I've actually been watching. I've been actually watching, mainly because it's the Suns. I'm from Phoenix, so I still got the little heart tug as far as watching them and hoping. But right now, Booker right now is the best player in the NBA right now. Consistency, badass, making plays out of nothing, and just taking it to everybody else, which tells me a lot of things. Number one, that Booker might be the fourth best basketball player in the NBA right now. There's no Luka. There's no LeBron. There's no
Durant.
Right now, what's his name? Durant, he's not there. He might be the fifth best basketball player in the NBA right now. And I don't see anybody stopping the Suns because of the fact that they play all ball. And you know what I mean, Big Dog, about all ball. It has nothing to do with one guy taking the here, one guy doing that. Everybody's got a play. It's called all ball, and everybody's part of it. And that's the reason why the Suns right now are being successful. Based upon who's there, right, Big Dog?
Yeah.
Based upon who's there. If it was the Lakers, if it was Brooklyn, if it was almost any of those big wigs that are out there, that probably wouldn't work.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. What were you going to say, though, Cuervo? But you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, so for Phoenix they need. When do they play again? They still need one.
I think they play
tonight. They play tonight,
Yeah,
and they are
they
favored by.
When they wrap it up.
Yeah, they play tonight. They're up 3-1. They are favored by 5.5, and they are playing in Phoenix.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is, I'm kind of cheering for Phoenix too, and if they do win, I'm gonna be happier for nobody more than Chris Paul. I don't really talk about it. I don't really, but I've always been a Chris Paul fan. I love the way he plays. The guy he's just full of talent, full of skill, and he's that type of guy that he doesn't try to make it about him.
Yep,
He's
exactly.
just a guy that he's an all-star contributor, a guy that, like I said, he just wants to win, and I love that about him. The guy is so talented. I love watching him play.
Has he been cleared to play, Big Dog?
I'm sorry?
Has he been cleared to play? I know he was on a COVID thing.
He came back in Game 3. So he played Game 3 and Game 4. Game 3, he was pretty rusty.
I watched the game.
Game 3, he was pretty rusty. Game 4, he played pretty well. I will say for CP3, I mean, of course, for me, I mean, it breaks my heart because, remember, he was traded to us.
Yeah, and they nixed that trade.
And David Stern, excuse my language, fucked us over.
That ain't happening. He put his foot down on that.
And then turns them over to the Clippers.
Yeah.
So to credit Chris Paul, though, consummate professional, and every single team he's gone to, he's made them better, especially whoever plays the center position.
Oh, definitely.
He ups their game level no matter who is that center guy.
Yep.
And DeAndre Ayton, I think, has probably enjoyed having Chris Paul there more so than Booker, because he has really elevated DeAndre Ayton's game. And it'll be great because it'll be CP3's first time in the finals. Should they win, I'm pretty sure they're going to win at least one of the next 3 games.
There he is, the big dog. What's he doing, Cuervo? Keeping it real. Keeping it real right here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Now,
that's what we do.
Durant is another story. Durant is now, everybody seems to be talking about he is now either equal or has surpassed LeBron James. Now,
he has.
Not LeBron James lover at all. I bitch slap him if I had the opportunity if he did that in front of me. That having been said, and I like Durant, but I don't understand why everybody is throwing accolades up on Kevin Durant right now. He hasn't done really anything except played for a bunch of people in Golden State. Played with a bunch of other superstars in Golden State. So I want to see him be able to take that step forward. And we're not talking about Kevin Durant. And he had the superstar team. Cuervo and I were talking about it. Who's gonna beat him? Well, I mean, listen. When you're talking,
I called it.
Yeah, you called it.
Yeah.
But
I said New Jersey's going to beat themselves.
Yes, I do. But I mean, when we are talking about the playoffs.
Yeah.
Talking playoffs here, and you got to be able to step up and lead your team. You got to be the leader of the superstar team. You have 5 starters that were considered the best in basketball, and they couldn't even. I mean, I don't know, Cuervo. Is Kevin Durant the second coming of LeBron James, or is he a weaker addition in reality?
Well, if you mean weaker as in like strength, yeah. I mean, I think LeBron.
I mean heart. I mean, I've never seen a guy that has no heart more than Kevin Durant.
I was being funny, Sonny. But,
okay.
But I mean. I'll just say this. I think Brooklyn next year, because you know how it goes. You put these teams together, and the first year it doesn't always pan out.
Right.
That second year comes.
They got to
and now you got to watch out.
Except for us, ours was the first year with AD.
The monkey makes an appearance. I'm sorry, I had to throw that out because the monkey's the star of the show. By the way, in case you didn't know, the monkey is the star. So much so we hear from him a couple of. The monkey is the star. But interesting. What do you think? Are we throwing greatness up on marginal players, or maybe not necessarily marginal players, but guys that haven't proved it enough yet to take that step, that including LeBron, because I moved him back behind Bird after the first round playoff debacle. I'm sorry. Listen, I was going to give him all the props in the world. I moved him back behind Larry Bird at number 6. Are we too quick today, Cuervo, to throw greatness up on marginal players or guys that haven't proved it enough? Frank Gore.
No, let's not do that, please. Let's not. Oh God!
All right, Frank Gore free show. Okay, all right.
It's not nap time yet. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, the big dog's probably lost. Yeah, we it's a running joke between Sonny and I, Big Dog, that if we ever YouTube Frank Gore highlights, it's nap time. So
because there are none, right?
Yeah, definitely. There we go. 7 games together. Yeah, but still. And by the way, that's my brother. That's my biggest brother right there. They only played, but still, I mean, you're the best players in the world. Do you think that if they had a pickup game somewhere else that they wouldn't have won? I mean, come on. They didn't have 1. They didn't have 2. They didn't have 3. They didn't have 4. They didn't have 5. They actually had 6 before 1 went out. And and they're you can't. Yeah.
Well, so let me answer the question, gentlemen. To an extent, yes, I do think the NBA, I should say, is reaching a little bit because I think they're trying to find that next.
Yep.
I don't know if poster boy is the right word, but somebody to really help market the NBA because, even though he may not be showing it, but LeBron's only got so much more time left playing. He's only got a few years before.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe. The dude has been in the league for 18 years now, right? Is that the number? Yeah. It's 18 freaking years, okay? Listen, Stephen Curry has a better shot of being the ambassador, if you will, of the NBA before him, as long as he gets a little help over there, and they start going back into the championships and doing well in the playoffs. I would give it maybe it is. I have the bias against LeBron James, but you're talking 2 years compared how many years that Stephen Curry has left in his career, or how long he wants to play. Because believe me, this guy's not hurting for money. So hopefully he's able to move it. But one of these days the NBA is going to have to stop it because listen, right now. This includes Curry, but at least he's a class act. But LeBron, Durant, and all these other guys, they have still got to get past Kobe Bryant. Okay? When they start getting past Kobe Bryant, then I will listen a little bit more about how great they are. Okay? Until then, they just need to shut up. And the fact that they're putting them on the pedestal all the time, in reality, it's just real simple. They just got to stop it. This is getting old, and I can't even listen to it hardly anymore. So, but the NBA, is it overrated right now, Big Dog, or no? Or, is this where we kind of expect the NBA to go further, grabbing up super guys and putting them all up on there? Because let's be honest, there's some good basketball players. That dude up in Portland, his name's skipping my mind. That kid.
Damian Lillard?
Lillard.
Lillard. That guy's a superstar. Now, could you imagine if he had to pull to pick up the old cell phone to say, "Yo, why don't you come on up to Portland?" Although all we got is Mormons up here, but still, we can have some fun. I don't know if he'll be able to get that done.
The NBA is searching for the next face. They know. I mean, as of right now, I guess you would say it's LeBron.
Uh-oh.
Did he freeze on us?
There he is.
Huh?
Coming in and out.
Oh, okay.
There he is. Go ahead, repeat that.
I was saying, I guess LeBron is the face right now, but the NBA does realize that he's leaving very soon, maybe 2 years,
right?
Maybe 3. So they're searching for the new face of the NBA, and I think with these young guys, Booker in Phoenix and Trey in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Now, whoever called for Atlanta and Phoenix in the finals is going to be a millionaire because I don't think anybody had that on their card. Of course, Atlanta's got to get by Milwaukee, which may or may not happen, but the chance is there. But anyways, the NBA has a lot of young guys that are up and coming. You got Luka, who's only 23.
Yeah, he's third year, right? Third year.
Yeah,
that guy's a superstar.
Now, I know you're in Dallas now, so I don't know how much of a.
I'm not a Maverick fan. I'm a Luka fan. There's a difference because
then I hope you don't boot me off after this. Luka cries more than anyone I have seen this year. Is
that even more than LeBron? Is that more than LeBron?
I watched every single Laker game, as you guys know, because plus I get all the away games and all.
I feel sorry for you, but okay.
And I watched this year. I watched a lot of NBA non-Laker games, and Luka. Seriously, Sonny, Luka cries on every single play. Every single.
Okay, all right.
The one that's almost as bad is James Harden.
Well,
Harden was complaining when the ref would call a foul on someone else, and Harden would run up to the ref and be like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" You could see him making his hand gestures. I'm like, they're not even calling it on you. Leave it alone. And this brings down the game to me. This crying. Where's the time?
It's a hard watch, is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you and I are old school '80s basketball players, where someone gets fouled and you put up your hand. Yeah, I did it, and that's it. You walk,
or they just took your head off just because.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I would love to see LeBron or James Harden or Kyrie Irving or whatever try and pull the crap that they pull back in the '80s. They'd be on their ass so fast it's not even funny.
And think about this. Speaking of Dallas, I mean, the big move, the Mavericks head. Donnie Nelson, he's gone, and also Rick Carlisle. They hired him at Indiana, which, by the way, might be the best move so far. I mean, listen, Carlisle isn't the best coach. Let's be honest. But when you want to talk fundamentals, you want to talk about basketball. Certain times to do certain things. I don't know if there's a better coach for that kind of stuff. And that's what Indiana needs. They just need to get back to the basics. They need to get back to the things that got them. I mean, we were talking just 3 or 4 years ago. We're talking about the Pacers being a damn good basketball team, maybe making their way in. Now we're not even talking about them as a legitimate threat as far as the playoffs are concerned. They're big dog.
Yeah, he's there. I thought that was a great move. I kind of put him under the Popovich tree. As far as his fundamentals and so on and so forth, teaching the guys. I think he's great at teaching the young kids. Now, Jason Kidd, it was just announced Jason Kidd is taking the Mavericks job.
Yeah.
So he's leaving us to go there. And then late last night, I just got word that Chauncey Billups is signing to coach the Portland Trailblazers.
Yes, I saw that earlier today. So that might help Lillard up there if they could get another body. They need another body.
Lillard, from everything that I've read and heard, is going to ask for it out. He's tired.
That's what I heard. Well, he got that super max. Didn't he? Got that super max. Yes. $42 million. Okay.
Yep. A year for the next few years. Yep.
Sweet. Yeah. You want to talk about? Hey, we talk about on this show. Okay. Listen. Sometimes it doesn't even matter what you can do. It's about if you can get paid or not, and that's the big story through the whole thing. And I lost my graphic, my paid graphic. It's gone. I'm so upset, but he got paid big time. So that's where we're at. Now, I don't know do we have any more because I'm going to tell you right now, this is the most we talk about. How long have we talked this long about basketball ever, Cuervo, on this show? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, about as long as a full timeout.
I know. You're almost checked out here on me.
just to let you guys know, in Lillard's final year of his Supermax deal, which is the year 24-25, he's going to get paid $54,250,000.
Ooh, baby.
So right now it's starting next year. It's 43.7, 47.2, 50.7, and then the 54.2
I can't even imagine that much money.
And the thing is, you know what? If he asks for the trade, the other 29 NBA teams will be more than happy to take him.
Yeah,
that guy has no range.
Hey, listen, sometimes you got to do, and I agree. I think Kidd is a good hire, so good stuff there. Are you going to hang out with this big dog? I mean,
sure, I can hang out for a little bit.
All right, hang out for, and how long we got you, Cuervo? Another 35 minutes?
Yeah, like 30 minutes.
All right, so we got 30 minutes. I want to hop to some things that, obviously we weren't on last week because of some of the, tiredness of all Sunday. I've been putting in a lot of hours. So that being said, let's get to some of the things that we are talking about. Let's get to Cam. Let's get to Cam Newton and the Patriots, because the Patriots are an interesting team this year because of the situation. Yeah, Superman himself can't stand him, but Deion Sanders is out there. And, I'm sorry. Listen, I can respect broadcasters, okay? But Cam Newton's going to be ready to compete because this is it. This is it. You don't get this one. It's a wrap. Well, duh. I mean, come on. Listen, I mean, if you're going to be a broadcaster, you got to at least be better than me, which doesn't take much, in my personal opinion. I mean, to come up with this, of course, Cuervo, of course this is his final bid. If he's not worth a shit, that guy, we're talking about him being done, and the Patriots are going to have to go to a left, get into the left lane and right lane and exit, because they're going to have a problem at the quarterback position.
Well, they'll just have to bring in Mac Jones, the rookie.
Yeah, Mac Jones, the big guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but I think what Deion's trying to say is that I think Cam's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's what he's trying to tell everyone.
Yeah. Well, we heard the video. I mean, we had the video on. He wants to prove it and everything else. But if this guy falls on his face, is there any team in the NFL that going to give him a shot, Cuervo? Are anybody going to reach out and say, "Yo, Cam, yeah, we might need you here"?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
I don't think
maybe
so.
as a third string backup, maybe
I don't even
backup
know.
if he doesn't do it here.
I don't think he'd take that, big dog. I don't think that is not in his. I think that is just too far for him. He has to be a starter, or I don't think the guy will play. We're talking about a heavy-duty position out on the football field. That's obviously the most important spot out on the football field. But thinking about the quarterback rankings, Cuervo, look at this. I saw this today. Here's the rankings, which, by the way, is wrong. Is probably what it is. And Chris Sims, listen, I don't know what he's smoking, but he needs to pass it to me. I'll take a hit because really, to be honest, Watson is not the fourth best quarterback in the NFL. I can think of three more that are better than him. Allen needs to go down. Rodgers needs to go up, and Wilson needs to go up. At least in this top five. I mean, what is Chris Sims smoking, or what is he seeing that maybe I'm not seeing that has those guys being ranked where they are?
I think, Sonny, if you're talking about talent level, you could. I can almost agree with that. Maybe
talent level or athlete level, because listen, Tom Brady's not on that list.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why. I think it's more based on talent or not even athletic because I mean Josh Allen's got some wheels on him, but I don't know how athletic he is. But the other guys are pretty athletic. Wilson and Mahomes and even Aaron Rodgers has a little.
That guy can move. I mean, he doesn't look good doing it, but he can move.
Yeah, he's a little athletic. So, I mean, I would say, where's Tom Brady on that list? I would say, where is, where's Brady? That's the only other person I could think of. So,
yeah, and interestingly enough, I mean, we got some guys, some of these new dudes that are coming upon. They're looking for extensions and stuff. So I'll just throw this one up. Here are some guys that are looking for it. By the way, Allen needs more. Lamar Jackson has saved the franchise in reality. I don't know. Without a Super Bowl, you can't necessarily really say that. But all these guys are up for big time, extensions. So when you're looking at these three guys, who's going to get the most, and are those numbers actually real? I mean, Baker, 4 years under 35, 4 years 168 for Allen, 4 years 170. Allen is the better quarterback. You can sit here and argue all day long, but Allen can throw the football more so than Lamar. Lamar Jackson needs to, again, we talk about it on this show all the time, he needs to consistently throw 225. He can run all he wants, but he needs to throw 225. He's not even near that right now, and looking at Allen, he can do both. So, Cuervo, what do you think about the numbers?
I mean, honestly, I don't think $2 million is going to really break the bank. So, I mean, if Lamar winds up getting more, I think that's because, the Ravens are a little more desperate to keep Lamar Jackson, or they're, maybe they have a little more flexibility cap-wise. And so, yeah, and then that screen right there, that seems a little more realistic.
That's what I was thinking. It's the reason why I brought it up. I think the numbers are more, looking. I think Josh Allen can be a 172 guy. I really do, because that guy's the franchise, and Buffalo hasn't had anything there. They got to save their guy. So in order to keep that guy in Buffalo, which, I think there's a Stuckey's. I think that's about it in Buffalo. So you need to pay the guy to keep him there, I think.
Well, they're sniffing the Super Bowl. Buffalo was. And,
absolutely.
Baltimore and Cleveland, they fell short this year. So, it's to me, I mean, it's about, where have you taken the team so far? You can factor that in, but I think it's more where can you see the team going in the future with that quarterback? And I think that's why Allen will probably get the most out of those guys, and then Mayfield will get the least.
Big Dog, I don't know how much you keep up with football because you're a basketball guy, but you know about those young guys. You've heard of them. You look into sports enough to know who they are. What do you think about the talent levels of those three, or maybe not even putting the GOAT in there as far as the rankings on the top five?
Yeah, and I'm not a big Brady fan, but Brady needs to be in that top five somewhere. Especially coming off the Super Bowl win. Yeah. And these other and the stat that you put up about potential contracts coming up. I mean, if you go by bare minimum, you're paying them almost $42 million, which would be Baker Mayfield. I think it's 41.5 a year, and then it escalates from there. I agree that Buffalo has the best chance, so you're going to keep them. But my whole thing is $42 million, $44 million, $45 million. That's a lot of money for one player.
Well, they were getting that before they put that rookie cap on, and so they were getting that coming out of college. So I get where they are, but when you count the GOAT out, I mean, it's unbelievable. You look at the GOAT. I see you. I'll bring you in when I see you. There he is. He's back there. But you never count the GOAT out. I mean, in reality, if you look at all these things, can he repeat again? I don't see why not. You look at some of these things and some of the past of what he has done, but I think this is a little bit different in reality, thinking about what team he's on. As far as the Buccaneers compared to obviously what he did back with the Patriots days, we see what could end up happening. But right now, if I take a look at that screen there, Cuervo, I'm asking you, what do you think about his chances of moving up and actually making it into the playoff or even repeating at the Super Bowl, that being Tom Brady?
Can I see that one more time, Sonny?
Sure. Yeah, this is about, can Brady repeat again? And this is results after winning the big game, what had happened, where they went. He won the Super Bowl with the 14-2 after he won it. So he was in the Super Bowl, AFC Championship games. I mean, I don't, a stretch. I don't think you can be a stretch for them to be in the NFC Championship game. But I mean, they brought them all back, Cuervo.
That's what I was going to say, and I think that's the first time in the Super Bowl era that it's happened to where all 22 starters on a championship team return to that team. Now, one thing we can't predict, and it's not that I'm wishing it on any of these guys, injuries could happen.
Absolutely.
A release could happen throughout, through the season, or something unfortunate could possibly happen. But right now, if if the season started today, everybody's healthy, but do I think Tampa Bay's got a chance at repeating? Yeah, absolutely, I do.
Absolutely.
Of course they have a chance,
Oh, yeah.
Just because the biggest factor, again, everybody's returning from that 22-man starting rotation or team. And,
and all those guys got all the money too, Cuervo. So they're not playing for the money. At least the big names that are coming back, they're not necessarily paying for all the money. Except Godwin, I don't know what he did, what that final contract was, or if it's even signed yet. That guy's going to get some money regardless. And I think
got tagged. He got tagged, and
so they tagged him. So he got paid. So he got some money at least for this year. But that being said, Cuervo, you're talking about a team that is in the division where they lost Drew Brees. Say whatever you want. The Panthers are just a team that is not there. I'm sorry. As much as I love Teddy Bridgewater, I didn't even think that they'd make the playoffs. But even now, with the lineups that they are going on, and who else is there?
Carolina, just to refresh your memory, guys. I don't know. Maybe the big dog knows. Maybe he doesn't. Carolina's quarterback now is Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah, Sam Darnold. That's right. But
that's right,
again, okay, so you got Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Okay, you got whoever's going to start, probably going to be Winston. By the way, did you see the video of Winston with the guys trying to knock the ball out?
I saw that,
there was a parody of some guy, and I didn't have time to grab the video, but there was another parody of Winston with someone, and he's falling over in the back. It was the funniest shit I've seen in a long time, because that just, the video, I don't understand why it was put out in the first place. But hey, what do I know? But that being said, I mean, okay, so you got New Orleans, Winston. You have Sam Darnold. You have Tom Brady, and who's the other team in the South?
So you got Atlanta with Matt Ryan.
Atlanta, Matt. You want to talk about the guy that's on the Super Bowl hangover of all time? Oh my God! I mean, this guy hasn't been worth a nickel since he lost that Super Bowl. I'm sorry, this is another football team that just completely doesn't understand football.
Atlanta's done, Sonny. They're done.
And they're done before they take the first snap. They lost their guy. They lost their number one wide receiver, which, by the way, though, Calvin Ridley is a badass. I hope he goes to a real football team. Yeah, I just said it. A real football team. So I don't know. I think they probably should have let Matt Ryan go and got a real quarterback, and then they could have maybe tried to figure out what they do in Atlanta. But Kyler Murray. I was listening to some Kyler Murray news, and this is Arizona Cardinal stuff. If Sonny knows this guy was hurt, why are they acting like it was a second half slump? Okay, listen. Kyler Murray, as much as I don't want to admit it, as much as I don't necessarily dislike him per se, okay? But yeah, last 7 games, this guy was hurt, and they weren't announcing what it was, but definitely a landslide. The last 4 games of the Arizona Cardinal season was pathetic. And that being said, it's not a slump. You had a guy that was hurt, because I'll tell you right now, if that guy was 100% healthy, they would be vying for a playoff spot in reality. So this year, all important for the Arizona Cardinals, because all the other 3 teams in the NFC West, Cuervo, are in reality playoff bound if they have great seasons.
Yeah, the NFC West is stacked this year, guys.
Stacked.
You Seattle with Russell Wilson. You got the Rams with Matthew Stafford. You got Kyler Murray. And then you also have, San Francisco with either Rams or
Jimmy G, Garoppolo, which, by the way, there's a lot of love going on up there for him, big dog. I don't know where the love for Jimmy G. I mean, literally the guy can play, but in this day and age, it is the NFL, and it's not for long, and If you haven't done anything, why do you think this guy is getting the pull like he's the second coming of Christ in San Francisco?
That's a damn good question.
I stumped him.
Probably because they've been bad for so long. Something fresh, and they want to try and put everything on him. I don't know. But just real quick with the Rams, you guys mentioned the Rams. They are an extremely good regular season team.
Okay.
I get that because
that makes sense.
And they have a beautiful $5 billion stadium. That's about it. That's about it.
Well, they got Matthew Stafford. Come on, Matthew Stafford, the second coming.
Yeah.
But Cuervo,
the second coming to Garofalo, right?
Yeah, it was exactly. And Cuervo, that's the point. You look at Jimmy Garoppolo. The guy's had a great. Okay, sorry. Yeah, sometimes I'll get ahead of myself, and not real. Okay, so I'll back. He's a good quarterback. Quarterback. He was they were just in the Super Bowl, or playing for the Super Bowl, whichever one I forget. But a few years ago, he's got the potential, but this guy's got the injury bug. Like I've got a craving for a Twinkie, man. I want me some Twinkies. This guy gets injured just thinking about getting injured. So that being said, Cuervo, looking at Jimmy Garoppolo, the best thing that could have happened to him is going back to New England. That didn't pan out. Of course, everybody said that's what was going to happen, and it didn't. But how many games are you going to give Jimmy Garoppolo before you give this guy the axe? Because let's be honest, we were talking about it. The NFC West, one of the best divisions in football, the most competitive in reality. How long do you go with the Jimmy Garoppolo playing, like garbage?
I don't know. So that's a good question. I think maybe give him the first half, see how. their record is first half of the season.
So the first 8 games, because now there's no halfway
17.
mark in
Right.
reality. So the first 8 games you give them. I mean, but
So I'll say week 8.
If they go 1-4, they got to cut this thing. And what's the word? Because I forget what the percentage is in a team that goes 1-4 to actually make the playoffs. It becomes pretty pathetic. But since they added the playoff spot by only making 1 bye instead of 2 within each conference, it makes it a little bit more feasible if you're 1-4 to make it. But I think a 1-4, a 2-5 start. You've got to say, Jimmy, it's been real. It's been swell, but it hasn't been real swell. This is horrible. We got to move on.
I think another thing, too, is I think it's going to depend on what the schedule is looking like.
Yep.
If they've got a brutal schedule, I think, you let Jimmy kind of get through it and see where they're at record-wise, injuries-wise, because you never know. I mean, it could be they're having a bad first half of the year because their top 2-3 receivers go out or something like that. I mean, we've seen that happen before, and that same quarterback still had his starting job. So, but I just think you look at the first 4, 5, 6 games, see where they're at and how they are health-wise, and if it's just a matter of Jimmy's not performing, then that's when you're going to see Lance. But if it's injury-based, then I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have enough common sense to say, I really want to see the kid on the field, but maybe he's not ready yet. And,
exactly. But when you're 1-4, 2-5, what's the difference? I mean, in reality, in the NFL. But real quick to the AFC North, Cuervo, everybody now is talking. If you don't remember, 2 years ago, everybody was talking about Browns to the Super Bowl, and they didn't make the playoffs. Well, they made the playoffs. They beat the Steelers, all that good stuff. But at least we forget about who the Cleveland Browns are. Okay? One of the things about people and fans and making these crazy predictions is that they forget the past. Well, don't forget it too much, okay? All right, for the last 15 years, okay, the Cleveland Browns have been in last place a total of 11 times, okay? 11 times last in the division. And for the last 3, it's been the Bengals, and then you had that 5-11 year before Joe Flacco hit the field in 2008. They went 5-11. But, and I get it. I understand everybody's excited about what the Browns can do. Will they continue? But when I look at the Browns and I look at Baker Mayfield, I look at this as the real sophomore slump. The second time they get that opportunity to play for the playoffs or go further in the playoffs, what can they do? What will they do? Or will they just bow out? And Cuervo, say whatever you want about Baker. By the way, I like Baker Mayfield's at home commercials. I think they're funny. But as far as this guy being a football player and an athlete to lead a team to the playoffs and maybe even to a Super Bowl, I just don't see it.
Well, this will be the last thing I talk about, guys. I got to jump off after this.
Okay.
But, I think we need – not that he needs more time. I just think we should – I think Baker Mayfield, should get a little more credit. I'm going to say it. He should get for how the Browns played last year. Now, I know.
So you're saying he needs a little bit of – I don't know. Is that what you're saying? He needs a little respect is what you're saying.
I think so, just because – there's a certain, I think, not stereotype, but like, oh, it's Cleveland, kind of like how you were saying. But I really truly think that the Browns, you're going to see a different pattern of, a play with the Browns. I think they're going to be that team that's going to be fighting for playoff spots from now on.
Well, then, Cuervo, that means one of the top 2 within that division, normally the Ravens and Steelers, are going to have to go down. Which one of those 2 are going to have to go down?
And you know what? It's going to piss a lot of people off.
I know where you're going.
And I love you, Bryce, but I think the Steelers are going to be the team that falls off.
Interestingly enough,
I agree.
And think about it, and don't forget about Joe Burrow. If he's able to lift the Bengals into, I don't expect it. Let's be honest. I won't expect it. But I expect, Joe Burrow to get better than he was last year before he got hurt. Lord forbid if this guy leads the Bengals into it. You're talking about two of the bottom two teams for the last 15 years, or 14 of the last 15 years at the bottom of this division of football with new personnel, new players, new quarterbacks, new everything. We're getting a little bit different. Now, you can't leave Cuervo because I want you to look at this one last thing and then I'll let you go because I thought this was important. We're moving into college football. Here is a tier thing that I saw. So I'm not going to tell. I'll send this to you, and then we'll talk about this next time because I think there's some interesting placement of certain teams. Boise State being on tier 2 makes me want to puke, which tells me someone wasn't good. Listen, I don't know a lot about college football, but Boise State on tier 2 makes me want to puke. So, but outside of that, I think there's some real interesting placements on some of these football teams within this tier. So next time we're on air, this is going to be one of the things because listen, college football is right around the corner, 3 weeks before the NFL starts. Just real quick, I don't know how much you've looked at it. What is your take on college football now that we'll have full stadium? We'll have 100,000 in Michigan. We'll have the regular 70, 80,000 in the big stadiums all over the country. What do you think about this year for college football?
I think it's going to be exciting, Sonny, and I'm going to probably be paying a little bit more attention this year than I did last year.
Of course, I might even do that.
Well, I mean, Tarvin and I, we're normally pretty big on college ball, but last year, I don't know if it was just because, moving and things like that, moving into the new house with the new fiance.
It wasn't real, Cuervo. Come on.
It wasn't real.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is real, but that goes to show you that for a lot of people, college football, it's about atmosphere. It's about the excitement of fans and the bands playing and stuff like that. And you get it's an energy level that you get from college football. And if you're not feeling it, then college football is not as enjoyable. It's different from the NFL. Yes, it's the same sport, but it's a different feel.
Yeah.
Different animal. Different animal.
And so
college football, especially in those big, I mean, listen, hell, Michigan outdraws most NFL football teams in attendance with 100,000 people in there. So
and by the way,
that's my team, and they suck. So, oh crap! I was going to go to Big Dog. Since you were going to leave, I was going to ask about wrestling. So hopefully he'll get back on. But yeah, it should be an interesting thing. And I don't know. Your schedule is being wrapped up. I don't know if we'll be able to do a college show or not. He's back. Good. I'm glad. Big Dog, don't go anywhere because I got questions about the WWE. So hold on.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere.
Before he goes, I want to congratulate you. I've done it on Facebook. Congratulations on your upcoming nuptials. And of course, getting your fiance.
Why are you talking about it, Zach? What are you talking about? He's getting married. That's right.
Congratulations all the way around.
Yeah, thanks. If my voice starts squeaking, you'll know why.
Yeah, and we know he's deep into it because I got to practically pull him into the show. Because when you get a woman and a wife, your schedule you lose about 40% of your regular schedule where you're just sitting around just scratching your nuts. That's why you were talking about schedules. So now he's more busy. So I got to drag him in.
Yeah, but just last thing. So you said Boise State is a tier 2. I think you can knock that down. And you know what? A lot of people are gonna you might get emails about this, Sonny. I think Notre Dame should be knocked down too.
Oh God, they're overrated.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Notre Dame's is the Dallas Cowboys of college football. For God's sake. Well, maybe outside of Ohio State, but at least Ohio State has won some games. Yeah, that's right. I said it, Jim. So there we go. All right, so Cuervo, always good to see you. Man, you look like you've looked like you've gained about 10 pounds, and I don't mean like Sonny Clark 10 pounds, like muscle 10 pounds. You've been working out.
So I've been having some recent lower back issues, which keeps me out of being able to run and do that stuff. But I have been hitting the weights a lot.
Yeah.
So that's where my my escape is from stuff. So
got it.
But I've been hitting the weights again a little bit more than I was before.
Got it. All right. Sunday, 3:00 or 3:30.
That should work. I'll let you know if it changes.
It's in the air. We'll find out. We'll get to so Cuervo. By the way, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
I'll listen through Facebook.
Got it. Keep it on. We got it good. All right. Hey, by the way, the message right there is from I'll tell you, listen, there's a thing called shutdown corners. That man right there, McKendrick Harper, is the shutdown corner of indoor football. And I'm not even bullshitting. Listen, we sometimes bump heads, but that guy is shutdown corner in indoor football and got mad love for McKendrick Harper. Always good to see him. Now, that being said, since we got the wrestling guru on,
that's you. That's you, Lenny.
Well, well, in my own little indie world, yes, I'm right there. So, that being said, the WWE is going to get back out on the street. Which, by the way, it's about time. Which, by the way,
yes,
I read recently. And it might have been as recent as today. Tony Khan didn't lose any money. He actually made money in the pandemic. Listen, I'm just going to say it. The guy's full of crap. But, okay, that's fine. You can be full of crap all you want. But it would be good to see because, listen, WrestleMania, even though they had what was it, 20,000? That was still a big difference to watch that, and it was emotional. Listen, yes. I tore up my man card a long time ago. I was watching. I'm going to admit it. I've been watching Married at First Sight. Yeah, so I had to tear my man card. I don't have it no more. But that being said, yes, watching Sasha Banks in that match, it just something that overcame me about that being in front of that match in front of those fans. It made it out as one of the best things that have happened in wrestling since the pandemic hit.
I agree. It was a pretty decent card. It was better than what I thought. It was great to hear the fans actually being in there rather than all that piped in cheering that they've been doing in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, the Thunderdome. Yeah, that was all real.
Yeah, so a lot of things happening. It's great that they're going to be on the road. I don't know if you saw the not scandal, but I guess the faux pas by that new writer that came out. I believe she's a younger black woman. Yes, and she came out because I guess they were in a production meeting or she was giving an interview or something like that, and she didn't know Bobby Lashley's name. She knew him as Bobby Mashy, Bobby Last something. I think his name is, I think it's Lashley or something like that. So that came out, and evidently Vince is not happy. Because,
of course.
Yeah. But
he's probably saying, "What are you doing an interview for in the first place?"
Yeah. So it came out that she is a writer. She's a Hollywood writer that knows nothing about wrestling, and she was only hired because she has written for shows and has some comedic background writing skills. And she let it out.
You mean like the Nikki Cross thing? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah, and it came out that I guess the pool of 10 writers that they have, or however many writers that it is, pretty much 90% of the writers come from a non-wrestling history background. They know nothing about wrestling, but they're there because they've been in Hollywood and they've written for shows. Mm-hmm. So Vince hired them, and I think that's why the vignettes and the all that stuff is so horrible.
Yes,
they're horrible.
Yeah. And not only that, it's one thing to have a equipment malfunction or a clothing malfunction, but when you got the guy's hands being shown underneath the ring, because they're sliding out the pads and stuff like that. It's one thing to not necessarily know when they go over the side that there's a big old air thing there and they pull it back under there real quick. It's one thing to know that. It's another to actually see it. So they got a lot of faux pas going on right now as far as the WWE is concerned. But I will tell you straight out right now, the best product, it's not AEW. It is not WWE per se. It's within WWE. I'm telling you right now, NXT is one of the best. It is the best promotion going on, bar none, and so superior because of the way that they rotate the participants in it. I am so sick of Drew McIntyre, going for a championship. I'm
sick of Roman Reigns.
I'm sick of him too, and I used to like the cat. I like the guy. Matter of fact, I thought the setup for him and Seth Rollins on Friday would have been perfect. And then they brought back Edge, and I don't know how I feel about that because I always kind of liked Edge, but the Edge is not just old; he looks old, but he can play a part. He can play a part. And listen, there's one thing about one thing: you got to understand the entertainment side of what's going on in wrestling. Believe me, I'm with what I'm doing now, as far as doing commentary on the indie, I see a lot more than I ever saw as just a regular fan, and the understanding of why per se.
Yeah, of course.
That having been said, when you see a guy like Edge coming back, it sets this up for the next few weeks to get asses in seats. Because they're going back out on the road. And right now, as far as guys that you're going to bring back that will be active in the ring right now, Edge is about the only one, unless you bring back a big name. And here's just a feeling. Braun Strowman is going to be back in the WWE because he doesn't fit the mold of AEW. I'm sorry, he doesn't.
I don't think he's coming back to wrestling.
Really? I've seen him shave his beard.
And he shaved his beard, and in some of the tweets,
totally different.
Oh yeah, he does. In some of the tweets that he has said or given, and other things that I've read is, he was paid very, very well.
Oh yes.
And that he has saved his money and invested it very well, where he says he doesn't need to work.
Yes.
And I know he has his own little like outdoor. Huntsman type show thing. So
yes, I saw that.
He might go, I think, that route where he's kind of doing the outdoor stuff, teaching people how to shoot and fish and do this. So if he comes back, I think it'll maybe be in 3 or 4 years where he's tired of doing that stuff and then makes a surprise comeback. But I don't see Braun coming back within a year or two.
If he did, do you see him fit in the AEW mold? Because I don't. I watch AEW because the reason is a lot of our names, like if you ever watch AEW Dark, many of our wrestlers that have been in our promotion came from our promotion. Rob Reisen, he was in our promotion. A lot of other names I just to get out there, but. We're talking about a different day and age in wrestling, and I think if the WWE looked at their product that Triple H is putting together with NXT and figure out a way to convert maybe 1/3 of what they're doing there and figure out how they can put it up on SmackDown or Raw, it might change the whole look of what the actual product is.
Sonny, you know exactly how to do that. There is one thing that needs to be done, and all that will happen.
And that is?
Vince needs to retire.
Exactly. Because
Vince has that 70s mentality that I know what's good I know what everybody wants. And the ratings and stock numbers and everything else show, no, Vince, you don't. Not anymore.
Well,
look at what's happening.
It's interesting you say that, Big Dog, because I find that interesting. Because the perfect time for Vince McMahon to do exactly what you said would have been at the beginning of or towards the beginning of this pandemic.
Yes.
So it could be, listen, everybody was going to lose money. Everybody was going to lose. Listen, I can't. The only sport I can watch without fans is because, they pump in the thing as the NFL. I just ignore the fact there's nobody in the fan, but they know how to do it. Yeah. Listen, the WWE knows how to do it too. They're pretty good at it, which if it wasn't for the Thunderdome, I wouldn't have been watching wrestling for over a year. because I just can't do it. But the fact of the matter is, you got Triple H. If he listen, I have a theory, okay, and we talk about it on my show, and it's a little conspiracy. Yes, Conspiracy Couch has a theory here, and I'm going to tell you what I think it is. We have seen not only Triple H, but Stephanie sell off their stock.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think that's good for the brand with them now. I mean, what? They get $2 billion to go to Peacock. They're just setting that bitch up to be sold right into NBC, sell it to set up another wrestling company, and it's going to get funded by the sale of the WWE, and they're going to bring in a total different thing. It's going to be different than AEW. It's going to be different, obviously, than the WWE. And I think we are on the verge of seeing something within the next 2 or 3 years where Triple H and Stephanie McMahon are going to be a part of.
Okay, I can see that. The question is, how do you cultivate that into a TV deal because all the wrestlers are taken?
Oh, you don't wait.
See,
you don't think that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon could recruit some of those wrestlers to bring them on? Whether NXT, everybody knows the reason why the success of NXT.
True, but the thing is, you would have. I mean, if these guys already have their contracts, Vince isn't gonna let him out. Just like why he didn't let Strowman out for that year or 2 years, and a couple of those other guys that he re-signed just to re-sign him, so AEW wouldn't get him. But what I have read, and it's exactly what you were saying, Vince is setting up to sell WWE to probably Peacock because they already bought the library and the WWE online channel that they had.
Right.
I was reading it because of my comic book background. It crosses over a lot, so a lot of comic book writers were writing about this about a month and a half or 2 ago, that Vince is setting up to sell to NBC. The rumors are either NBC or Amazon. So Amazon Prime would have a streaming wrestling channel, and we're talking in excess of 70 to 80 billion dollars for the entire thing: SmackDown, Raw, and NXT. And if I was Vince, I mean, Vince is what, 75, 77?
Yeah, he's old people.
Yeah, to be
honest, he's not young and like we are. I mean, I'm only 54, so I'm young.
55. Yeah, I'm 55. Yeah. So, but Vince, at his age, and he's got nothing left to prove. He's a billionaire, a couple of times over because he kept dropping out and getting back.
What was the number you said again that Vince was? How many billion?
Around 70 for the sale.
Yeah, listen, think about this.
Yeah.
You think about the WWE and what it is and what its legacy is.
Yep.
Its legacy is worth that money, that billion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
70 billion?
Oh, yeah.
That's a legacy that if you sell it and let it go, you paid for your legacy. Your legacy is what you can get in the end. 70 to 80 billion. Listen, if that number is an accurate number, that is a good reason to let the legacy go instead
I
of
agree.
being a dead horse right now. Because listen, I watch Raw because every once in a while it'll be different. SmackDown, I don't watch the last 3 segments, although I did watch this because I knew Edge was coming back. Someone said he was coming back, I watch it. But I normally don't watch it because I'm like I said, I am sick of Roman Reigns.
For me, it's background noise. I have it on, but I'm like on my tablet or on my phone.
Not paying attention. It's like Frasier, I've seen it so many times. I don't need to see it, but I can hear it and I'm okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but,
that's what it is.
But I think that's where this is going. And listen, you said about their contracts. None of those contracts are going to be good for two or 3 more years. So the fact that this ends up happening and listen, if we're hearing about a big dog, they're hearing about it. They know the rumblings. They know what's going on. They know a lot more than what's going on. And the idea of what's going on will be rolled into something new as far as Stephanie Stephanie and Triple H and what's the son's name? Here Comes the Money.
Shane.
Shane, yeah. Which, by the way, Shane is the reason why that we have seen the success of the WWE within the last 6 years because of that network. He went over and did that over in Japan, with the streaming, and he learned everything that he learned over there, and then he came back and he got his nose into the and that's what ended up happening. Which, by the way, the WWE network was the hottest thing going on. I'm sorry.
I thought so too, yeah.
Whatever I wanted to watch, I can find it. Now it's on Peacock. I got to go looking for it, which...
Yeah, there's no search engine. Half the stuff is still not on there yet.
Exactly. And they're editing it, and I'm not, listen.
Oh, yeah, they're editing it.
Woke stuff out of it. This is wrestling. So, I all that woke stuff goes to the side from me as far as wrestling. I want to see the cruiserweights in the WWC or WCW. That's some of the best matches I ever seen.
Hell
were
yes.
those cruiser matches. And you want to see legacy. You watch Chris Jericho over in that WCW, and you see how genius that guy really is. Now, listen, I can't stand watching him right now. Just more than the fact I can't stand looking at him. If he wrestled with a shirt, I think I would probably be able to watch it. But, man, I thought I had a bad body. I mean, he's got to lay off the drink, and his head is even getting bigger. You ever notice his head is just getting bigger?
It is the drinking. It is the drinking because – about a year and a half ago, he actually had some it looks like he dropped about like what he is now. He probably dropped 25, 30 pounds and was actually in wrestling shape.
Yes.
And then kind of disappeared and did his Fozzy thing that he always does.
Yes.
And then when he came back, I was like, holy shit. He gained weight big time.
Listen, and on a guy like Chris Jericho, a 20 or 30 pounds.
Yeah, it shows a lot.
Then add TV on it, and then add on the internet fools that are out there whipping on him for doing it. I mean,
and I don't know if you watched their big match that was on TV about a month ago. Yeah, the one where he fell off the cage.
Yes, I did. I did watch that actually.
Okay. Since you watched it, was he drunk?
And I've read that, and
his eyes were watery. He had that look to him. He was slower than usual, and he did almost nothing in that match.
He was slow.
He did almost nothing in that match.
He was a click behind on a lot of things that were going on. But I don't think you fall off a kit. I don't think you fall off the top of a cage and you're drunk. I don't know if you want.
Was he buzzed then?
Okay, maybe buzzed because you do a lot of stupid things when you're buzzed. Okay, yes, I've done it. Yes, a lot of dumb things when I'm buzzed. Yes, yeah. But in wrestling, I don't know. My 3 years in the wrestling business on indie level. Listen, I've gained so much of the respect. Never mind the fact that I thought these guys were outstanding athletes, better than NFL players, NBA players. I mean, these guys, not only are they athletes, they're purebred in a certain area that makes almost everyone. It's hard for me to criticize someone getting in the ring.
The only athlete that I put on par with a professional wrestler is a soccer player. Yeah, soccer players go the whole time. Yeah, and I always hate it with wrestling is fake. I said no, wrestling. The beginning is worked out and the ending is worked out. Everything that goes on in between is between those two gentlemen or women in the ring. And the athleticism that these guys can pull off is no one can do what they can do. Exactly. As far as all around on these guys.
You say soccer, I say hockey.
Okay.
So and I get what you're talking about. The conditioning,
just the back and forth.
The back and forth and the smashing into the side of the things, taking the hits that they take, unbelievable. More than any wide receiver in the NFL, bunch of wimps. But take away from that, that's But wrestling is getting back and going. Really interesting, and it starts in Texas. We got both of them, AEW and the WWE, right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area when they first start back up. So we'll be busy during that time.
I was so angry about COVID when it hit last year in March.
Do you have
when everything closed down in March, because AEW was coming to Ontario. I believe it was in April, because the Young Bucks were taking pictures in front of the stadium right here. It was like 15 minutes from me, and I was waiting for those damn tickets to go on sale, and then COVID hit, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Interestingly enough, just the little background up on that. Here in Garland, Texas, the Dallas area where they were at was literally 4 minutes from where I live. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, the venue it holds no more than 7,000. So they're doing
Good
it
size.
right.
Yeah,
they're doing it right. And the reason being is that they can sell many tickets, and then they still can give away and fill up the place and make it look big. Although, if you look at some of the beginnings, they had those empty seats, and they realized, well, let's give some seats away so we can make it look in a smaller venue. So smart, and never mind, going to the American Airlines Center, that's going to cost you $20,000 to $30,000 a night. They paid maybe $6,000. So the money that they were using the same, and they were not. Listen, where they were here in Dallas, that's a nice stadium for a small venue. It's a nice venue, and it's really cool. And they are just doing a lot of things smart. Compared to what the WWE is doing in reality, although the difference is that the WWE can fill that stadium at least to 60 to 65% and give the rest out for giveaways.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like it's bigger, so they get more in reality to pay for the facility. But really, the difference between the wrestling promotions and what's going on. Hell, even now, Ring of Honor, I'm enjoying. I've actually been watching Ring of Honor, and there was a 2-month free deal for Impact that I watched because we had Austin Aries here on.
I love Austin Aries. I'm sorry, I can only watch maybe 10 or 15 minutes of TNA. To me, it is so bad.
I love TNA on the six ring thing. I loved it. But we had some big ones. We had Alexander Hammerstone. We had Austin Aries. We had Congo Kong. And listen, we just packed it in, and we got a lot of fun out of that.
I guess it would have been 2 years now. PCW Ultra, which is a promotion here in Southern California. They come out of Long Beach. They had Hammerstone. He was a regular there every time they had a promotion. And the match between him and Brian Cage.
Oh yeah, Brian Cage.
Mm-hmm. I was in I think that time I was in the second row, and they went, they did their match inside, then they spilled out and of course went into the crowd a little bit. But there was one spot where Hammerstone's running at Cage like to clothesline him. Cage ducks and military presses him and runs and threw him literally into the crowd.
Did I see that?
Probably.
It made its way because I thought that was amazing.
You might have saw it on my IG.
Maybe that's it.
Because I had that. I was like, holy shit, no, he's not going to do that. And I was like, holy crap, he threw him.
Amazing.
And I posted it. And, Penta was there along with Phoenix. And that was funny because in one of the matches, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Muta, the great Muta, was there.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually wrestled in the match with Penta versus Johnny Nitro, whoever he is now, Johnny.
I know he's on the WWE with Miz right now.
Johnny Drip or whatever they call him now.
Drip, whatever.
So that's
funny.
So it was him and Sammy Callahan versus Penta and Muta.
Wow.
And Muta Muta did pretty damn good for being in his 60s.
I was going to say that guy's at least getting close to 60, if not over.
Yeah, he did. It was a great match. He had his mask on, and of course, he did the green spray at the very end. But what was funny is I got his autograph because we were going through because the great thing with PCW is they let you in about an hour and a half early, and all the tables are set up with all the wrestlers. And you can go down. Yeah, you can go down the line.
Even the heels.
Yeah, everyone's there.
Wow.
Sammy Callahan is the nicest guy. He's the shittiest heel, but he is the nicest guy. We were talking. We shook hands. He signed my shirt because I had my shirt, a wrestling shirt, and I had all the wrestlers just go down the line. I said, "Sign my shirt, sign my shirt."
Now,
and they
how
all
much
signed
did
it.
that cost you? Because here's one of the things that I learned really quick is that, listen, these guys want their money. Okay.
Yes,
and I get it and I understand.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
I get it and I understand. But how much did you pay for that?
Okay, now it was I got in, usually they let everybody in an hour before, that's general admission.
Right.
If you got the first or second row seats, you got in 2 hours early, but we could go through real quick. So we'd get there about a half hour into that. So the kind of the line would go down. So we'd be in before the general admission people, and pretty much, and it's so funny, everyone except Brian Cage was free.
Wow. See, I find that interesting because the first one where I went, I went and seen my second favorite wrestler. My favorite wrestler is Ernest the Cat Miller. I had him on the show.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah,
he's my favorite. Listen, a James Brown persona in the wrestling business. You got my
persona. Oh yeah.
But Big Papa Pump is my second favorite.
Okay.
And
now how is he? He to me he comes off as a total dick, but I don't know how he'd be behind the scenes.
Here's an interesting thing about that. When I met him the first time that I went to an indie promotion, it was the first time I went to. Of course, I felt he was kind of dickish. Just a real guy, his autographs, he wanted $25 for an autograph. Listen, I love you, Big Pop, but I'm not paying the $25 for it. I love you, and I'm not paying $25 for a picture with you.
Yeah.
I'll slip you a $10 bill, maybe. And that's obviously the reason why I never got pictures and the signature.
Yeah, I get you.
I ain't paying that money. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
Now, since I'm in the business and understand the business, and now I can get signatures and pictures for free because I'm working with it. So
exactly.
They're more apt to do that. So the second time I saw Big Papa Pump is when I was working with World Class Revolution. My first one, my first play-by-play was with Matt Stryker. And so that was amazing in itself.
I'll bet.
Lucha Underground and
of course,
what he did with WWE, but during that time he was kind of moonlighting on Lucha Underground. But when I was part of it, he actually sat and talked to me and everything else.
Okay, cool.
So like I think if you're in the business, he's not. I mean,
he's not bad.
He's got a reputation of being a dick, but I don't think he's necessarily a dick. More so than anything, at least to people he don't necessarily know.
Yeah,
so I
understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it comes off a little bit different that way. But I've met some interesting. I have my Austin Aries on my background with my Sormania. My picture with him. He seems
like a cool guy.
He is a cool guy. And interestingly enough, he said, "Forget the United States." You know what? It was interesting what he said. I was amongst a bunch of people. And he said, "If you don't," his friend said, "If you don't like the United States, well, then leave." Well, guess what? He left. He's in Mexico. He lives in Mexico.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it's mainly because they said, if you don't like it, why don't you leave? And he thought about it. He said, you know what? I don't like it. And he moved to Mexico. And he's loving every minute. At least that's what he told me. And so
and in AAA, I'm pretty sure treats him well if he goes to AAA.
Oh yeah.
But what I wanted to get back to real quick was with the great Muda. Like I said, I was going down the line, and Muda, of course, was the star attraction.
Sure.
So I think his was $10, and I was like, "Wow, I'll pay $10 for the great Muda."
I'd pay $10. Yes.
But what was funny is I got to get, and he was at the end of the table, so all my shirts all signed up with everybody. I had Isaiah Swerve was signed. Fatu.
Fatu, I like him.
And of course his Contra counterpart. Joseph is I can't think of his last name right now. I didn't know he owns PCW.
I didn't know he owned it.
Yeah, he's the main booker guy, and I believe he's part owner. But anyways, so all my shirts signed. So I get to Muda, and he's signing someone else, and I go up, and he looks up at me, and he doesn't speak very good English, but well enough to. But he looks at me, and he sits back, and he does this. He's all, you remind me. You remind me. Oh, he goes like this, and he's talking to his handler in Japanese, and then they both laugh, and he's like, "Oh, not laughing at you." He's all, "You remind me." He's all, "You Mexican Dusty Rhodes." And when I said that to other people, the friends I was with, they looked at me and they go, "You kind of do look like Dusty Rhodes. Look at the hair." And if I take the glasses off, maybe a little bit like Dusty Rhodes. So he called me the Mexican Dusty Rhodes.
That's great. See, and that's the thing about wrestling. I mean, you get some of the best stories in the world.
Oh, yeah.
I actually sat down and talked to Hernandez.
Okay.
We talked for about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
I mean, and the stories we talked, the funniest one is about the lifts in the shoes, and Austin Aries was giving him hell about wearing lifts in his shoes, and then he's doing the same thing. So a little back and forth of it. And I made mention to Austin when I saw him. He said, "Hernandez asked me to ask you, are you still wearing lifts in your shoes?" And he just shook his head and laughed. He goes, "That's not So, but some of the best stories in the world that you'll get, and as far as have a little interest in wrestling, you can get some of the best stories in the world just being hanging around.
Since you're an insider, so to speak, now, what do you hear about Joey Ryan making a comeback?
Well, I hear about it, and I listen. And one of the things that it was an interesting thing. It's been going on big time, at least down here, as far as the small promotions down here. We got some wrestlers that have been 86 out of the business because of their behaviors and what they have done and what they were perceived to being bad. And listen, I'm not naive. Okay. I'm 54 years old. I've been on this earth for a little bit. I get what has happened. I get what they did. And I get that it was really stupid. And I wouldn't suggest anybody to do some of the shit that they do. But guess what? They're superstars. They think they can get away with everything. That's that entitlement thing. It's on a different level. You got to be careful with what you do. Joey Ryan, and you mentioned it. I was talking to Hernandez about Joey Ryan. He says Joey Ryan's one of the best wrestlers technically in the ring.
Yeah, I've heard that by many people.
When he's doing his persona, you miss the fact that this guy's an excellent, not a good wrestler. He's an excellent wrestler.
Yeah,
knows the spots, knows when to hit them, knows how to, and the most important, and this is what Hernandez said, how to hit his moves. And there's different methods to, and I understand that now. Me being a fan, just loving it, you don't get the intricacies of the business and how it's done, why it's done, or when it's done. But now that I'm in it and I get it and I understand it, it makes perfect sense to me on how they hook the fan on being out there. One of the things I want to see them do, and if I was in charge of it, is not throwing these guys into those steel steps. The biggest injuries that are caused in wrestling are people hitting steel steps. And they're fluke accidents. It's not anything that's going on. There's actually a way to hit those things.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually a way to hit them without getting hurt. But the opportunity to get hurt is much higher than and so much so we in our promotion we don't allow steel steps. We have wood steps and we won't bring them in. And I'm loving that because that's just one less injury risk. Now, sometimes it's a little teetery on that wood, but I'd rather see that than someone thrown into a steel step. Yeah, especially me stepping on them, they really start to teeter. But I can send you some of the matches that we just had SoraMania. I'm actually editing the matches. I'm actually doing the editing of them. So I'm putting those together. I got 5 of the 9 matches that we had at SoraMania done. I'll send you the link so you can watch them if you want. But,
cool, thank you.
But yeah, it's wrestling's back. I'm happy about that. Now here's the great thing. This is what I think. If I'm a writer, if I'm a creator, I'm thinking about what you're going to do to hook those guys to get them in there. They started with Edge. So that tells you the next 3 weeks on those 2 shows, maybe even NXT to a certain extent, they'll be bringing back some more of these people that you think that might be coming back. Because right now the rosters the way they are, they cannot maintain what they're going to do for the next 2 years with the roster that they have right now.
True. I think someone that definitely needs to come back because he'll bring it in, and he's always has that underdog moniker on him is Daniel Bryan.
Yes. Yes.
And from what I
He
hear,
puts asses in seats. It's amazing.
yes, and I heard that once his contract is up, that's it. He said he's pretty much done. He made his comeback. He made that the concussion comeback, and he proved what he had to prove. So he says, this was two things. Of course, was the money in the contract, which you can't blame him for, and the other thing was to prove that he could come back.
Yes,
and still compete at that level. So he said he's proved everything he's needed to prove. So once this is over, he wants to, and I understand. He says he wants to be able to play with his kids.
Yes,
as they're growing up and stuff. So he says
it's a rough business.
Yes, he's essentially healthy. As much as you can be being in the business.
Exactly.
As long as
he's been in it.
Yes. So I think him coming back right about now and maybe ride this out either to this WrestleMania or following WrestleMania and have that be his retirement match. I think you grab a lot of fans with that.
They should have had him win that triple threat match at WrestleMania. Sometimes I'm looking at it, I'm going, and it had nothing to do with him wearing the belt. It's about where they were within the pandemic and what was going on. Yeah. Because listen, Roman Reigns will put asses in seats. He doesn't need the belt. They'll be there for him. Even Seth Rollins has played this pandemic off pretty well because now he's coming back to the guy I like, the heel, the one that you can't even stand watching on them. This little deal that he did with Bailey just cracked me up. See, and that's where the writers are coming from, the comedy part of it, and putting it in. And I get where you're coming from.
Now, if he and Roman have a match, who's the face?
That's
or will we do?
That's the reason why they brought brought
Edge back,
because I can do. Yeah, I can do this because I think I want to tell you right now, I'm going to blow it off. And for those that don't like spoilers, this is just a guess. Conspiracy. Seth Rollins is going to win the Money in the Bank. Simple as that. By the way, they're only having one Money in the Bank. It's not one for each one, by the way. There's only one. So Rollins is back up on Raw.
Okay, I'll let you do your theories, and then I'll give mine.
Rollins is going to be back up on Raw. Listen, that's where he needs to be. If you're going to get eyes up on the product, because right now, Raw is a hard watch, although I'll watch it.
Yes.
It's a hard watch.
Yes, I agree.
Because all the superstars are over on Fox, where that billion, the original billion started. Yes. So
for me, it's NXT, SmackDown, Raw.
I agree, 100%. And back in the day, it would have been completely flipped with SmackDown right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But where the money goes is where where they're doing it. So I think they will. They'll start moving it around. We'll see more up on this Peacock thing where they're going to end up buying that whole thing. That forget cable TV. It'll be on NBC from now on. After all of that's said and done, and that'll be billions. And this is where you're coming with that money. So all that's going to be in play right there. But Seth Rollins is going to be back up on Raw, and they're going to. But I think this is SmackDown is in a very bad spot right now because I don't think I'm outside of very much the norm of a regular fan. I'm sick of seeing Roman Reigns. I want to see him look, which is a pretty good reason to why you put the belt on temporarily on Edge and bring another person in, whether it's Daniel Bryan. Well, Daniel Bryan supposedly can't go back to SmackDown, so I guess that's done.
Well, no, it was while Roman was champ.
Well, good point. There it is. So I forgot about that. Yeah. So they might bring him back into the mix to get eyes up on it. But we're going to see guys that have, been let go where you're like, what the hell are they doing? And you'll slowly see them coming back within the next 3 weeks. My guess is we'll see 5 big names come back to where they're seen before they hit the road so they can get some asses in some seats.
Okay.
One of them's Brock Lesnar. He will be back because that's asses in seats. So you don't want to hear it. And I know you don't like him. I'm not even a fan of him, but I know what sells. Brock Lesnar puts asses in seats.
Okay. My turn. Money in the Bank. I think Vince has got a hard on for Drew McIntyre and loves the fact Bobby Lashley is champ. So I think he's gonna give the Money in the Bank to McIntyre because McIntyre has no more chances. But of
Right.
course, if you win the Money in the Bank, you get to choose, or you get to do the run-in on whoever. So
Right.
I think that's a partial setup. On SmackDown side, to your exactly what you're saying about bringing back superstars, I think they have the guy that's gonna beat Roman Reigns, and it's not gonna be Edge.
Who they have him already?
He is on the roster, but has not wrestled for about a year to 2 years now, maybe. He is a movie star.
Really? You think they'll bring The Rock back for that?
No, the other movie star.
Oh,
the bad movie star.
The big guy, Batista? Is it? But I lost your audio. Yeah, refresh. Yeah, refresh. So while Big Dog refreshes, he moved his. See, sometimes we got set up, you can't move anything. But good talk right here as far as what we're seeing in WWE and what we think could end up happening. Big Dog will be in here just a moment because I just seen him right there. Add him to the stream. You back there?
Yeah, how's that?
I got you. All right, cool.
Okay. No, and he has already confirmed that he will be coming back to WWE. So I think this man,
John Cena,
the 17-time world champ, John Cena, has confirmed he is coming back to the WWE very, very soon.
Well, they need that. That'll put asses in seats.
That'll put asses in seats.
You know what the problem with John Cena is now? Okay, listen, we can talk about a lot of things, okay? And I'm not this shallow, but this bald head that he's got working right back here, all right, that might be alone the reason why you don't want to watch John Cena. Oh, and it's bad and it's big. I saw
he's grown the hair out now. He has a regular haircut. So maybe they're gonna comb over.
The classic comb over, which is the reason why I shaved my head in the first place, because I had two bald spots and I wasn't gonna be the moron to do the comb over. I've been bald since 1999 just for that reason.
But when I read that, I was like, "Oh God, this is bringing all these people back."
Do you read a lot of those? Do you read a lot of wrestling? Because I don't. And the main reason is that it takes away sometimes the surprise.
Yes, I do, only because I try and keep up with what's going on, because I'm trying to figure out in my head, and I'm outside. I'm the fan. You are actually an insider. But for me, I'm trying to figure, okay, what is Vince going for? Or what is what is AEW and Tony Khan? What are they going for? So I'll click here and I'll click there on certain tidbits and then try and put it together. But having seen it come back, he's not going to come back just to come back. He's going to come back and they're going to put him in the title picture somehow.
They have to, because he's not relevant just being a wrestler.
Exactly. But if Roman comes out and does his promo, I've beaten everyone. No one can beat me. I'm the best of all time. I'm this, I'm that. And John Cena's music hits on, say, one of their first Raws with actual fans.
Yeah, it'd blow the place up.
It'll blow the place up.
They'd have to bring him in quietly. They would have to bring him in. There was an incident where they brought someone back and no one knew. Only Vince knew and the person that knew. And when they brought him in, where they pushed him away 2 miles away from the place, brought him in a limousine and got him in a cart that was covered. And I forget who it was.
I can't remember who it is.
But when that music hit, and that's what it is. Listen, wrestling can be about wrestling all day long, and sometimes it really doesn't have anything to do with except the pop that happens when it's time. And then that is the reason why, number one, they need to make some changes to the Royal Rumble. Number one, they should never let anybody know, and if they let someone know how many are going to be in, the max should be 10. So
and I agree with you because I loved it when
top of you don't know who it's gonna be.
I loved it when they would only announce. Yeah, I loved it when they would only 30 entrants, but they'd only allow or announce 20 or 25. So there's those 5 guys. You're like, who is it? Who is it?
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know if you agree with me or not, but for me, I feel bad. I felt so bad for Rey Mysterio that year. What was it, like 4 or 5 years ago, where he was number 30 and everybody thought it was going to be Daniel Bryan.
Right.
You remember that? And everybody, because he was been gone and so on and
gone
so
for
forth.
a long time. That's who we thought the pop was.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Ray's music hits, and everybody either booed or there was. It was. You could
almost
hear,
like you heard crickets.
Yeah, and I felt so bad for Ray. He was put in the wrong.
Now he's
spot.
another one I'm sick of seeing.
Yeah, Ray needs to go.
I watched him. I watched him back in the cruiserweight days in the WCW, and him being part of the heavyweight championship. That's a little problem. And plus, I'm on the indie circuit, so the fact that I saw his son just walk into the business and get handed to him. It's hard. Knowing guys that have been putting in years and years, more years than this kid's been alive, and they haven't even sniffed, the bad smell of the underwear of the WWE.
I totally agree. I've said that since he came in. I said, Dominic, he shows potential, but he's not ready. He needs at least 2 more years of.
He needs personality lessons, man. I'm telling you now.
But I'm saying just to learn the business itself. He exactly what you said. He was brought in only because he's Rey Mysterio's son.
Absolutely.
And he was shot to the top. Now he has the straps. They have the tag team straps, or they had it for a little bit, or whatever it was. And he's only there because of Ray. And Ray's there only, I think, because of him. Because I think Ray.
Ray's there because he is a cheap paycheck for Vince.
Yeah.
And listen, there's some stars that are making some money even still during pandemic, but Ray is one of those classic examples. You throw maybe 350 to 400,000 to him, he'll sign it, and then you got a deal. And that's the reason why he's there. At least in my opinion. I might be wrong.
I have a question for you, Sonny, since you're and I love calling you the insider now. Sonny the insider.
Okay.
How did Ray's eye grow back after it popped out of it?
It's amazing, isn't it? How did that happen? He had the best surgeons in the business that was able to get it back in. So I think that's funny. But here's one of the hard things about Rey Mysterio that I can't get over with him being the superstar. First of all, the 619 has got to be the weakest move in wrestling. Period. Bar none. I'm right. You're wrong. Simple as that. Second, when he gets thrown into the side of a trailer like a lawn dart, they even
I love that one.
I can't get that out of my head, which, by the way, was the best in wrestling history, by the way. That era right there, the coming of age of the NWO is the reason why I'm still watching wrestling today. I was watching wrestling long before that, but what got me hooked was the NWA. I mean, big time. And they
big time. It was perfect. It was a perfect.
And I even knew the WCW wasn't as good as the WWE, but guess what? It didn't matter. It had the drama. It had everything. And you actually thought these guys were, thinking that, I mean, as dumb as I was, that Vince had these guys come over there to try to take it over.
That was great. Yeah.
I felt for it big time. And, but, those days were, and that's when they still had the superstars. I mean, Chris Benoit, which, by the way, Chris Benoit, can't stand looking at him when he lost his tooth and he decided to replace it. I'm sorry, that was dumb. But Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko.
Listen, Eddie Guerrero.
And even today, those guys made wrestling more interesting for me, because those first 2 matches on WCW were probably the best wrestling that you could get. And then you got the entertainment at the end with NWO and what they were doing.
I totally agree. I would watch it. knowing that the NWO stuff was going to happen at the end, but I couldn't wait to see the cruiserweights because that's what made WCW during those not mid to late.
And if
90s.
you didn't have a VCR, you were screwed. You weren't going to see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that was another thing, back in the day when VCRs were how you did it. And that's how you didn't switch from show to show to show to where you didn't miss it. You VCR'd one, watched the other.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I did.
Same here.
I've seen both products for what they were and how great they were because they were both great. But so I'll ask you, what is the most memorable storyline, sequence, or match that you've ever seen that just sticks to your mind where you go, that's wrestling? I got mine while you think about it.
I know what it is because it's more technical. Okay. I was always more into the technical wrestling.
Okay.
But for me, I think probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest match I've ever saw was Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair for the championship.
Ric Flair. Okay.
Yes, for when Steamboat finally won the strap from Ric Flair.
Yep.
And that match I think went like 40 minutes, and it was just to me a technical masterpiece. And for me also any match with Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero together against each other.
That's those matches. That's those cruisers.
Yeah, exactly.
And I actually have 3.
Okay.
Because one was just 2 seconds.
Okay.
When Steve Austin hit Vince McMahon with that bedpan, I'm going to tell you right now, I can watch that right now and fall out of my chair every single time. You want to talk about the best sell in wrestling history?
It wasn't a sell. It wasn't Steve Austin on his Steve Austin show or whatever that he has came out and said the bedpan bit was ad-libbed.
Yes.
At the second he did it, and he said he swung as hard as he could because Vince told him, hit me with it.
See, and that's the reason, and that is the reason why you have to respect Vince McMahon. I mean, because not only does he promote, this guy actually got in the ring. This guy actually took some bad bumps. He tear off both of his
he tore both his quads, but that wasn't
it wasn't even in a wrestling thing. It was a bit.
Yeah, he was trying to get into the ring. That was a Royal Rumble with Batista and Cena, where they threw each other out.
Yes.
And Vince came in with his whole thing and how he hit the ring with his thighs and it tore both his quads.
But and he was ripped, by the way.
Oh yeah,
he was ripped.
Yep.
He was on the front of one of those Rip magazines.
Oh yeah, Muscle and Fitness.
Unbelievable. So that one's one of my favorite match. We were close. You were close. I had Macho Man
and Steamboat.
And Steamboat. As far as technical, I was like, just like you said, it was one of the best matches. And now my other one is actually on Impact, the one that you can't watch.
Impact was watching. Okay, now that you said Impact, that'll probably give me my third match. But go ahead. Impact was watchable with AJ and Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe. That I could watch all day long. Yeah,
but it wasn't even them. It was when obviously Ric Flair needed the money. Okay, listen, it's just the way it was.
I don't blame him. Yeah,
but the machismo imitating Ric Flair,
Jay Lethal,
has got to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
And he did it perfectly.
Listen, if you did not see the screen, you couldn't guess which one was Flair and which one was machismo. I'm telling you right now, it was, and that's what it is. It's not even necessarily. It's about, and I don't know if I'm the only one that ever said this, but wrestling is not a sport. Wrestling is not entertainment. Wrestling is an athletic soap opera is what it is.
Yeah.
And if you can't,
I have a phone call. I have to take this phone call. I'm sorry.
You betcha. No problem. Take care.
And take care, man.
Yep, and he is the big dog. I'm glad that he could join us. We got a little basketball talk. We got a little wrestling talk. And and there it is right there, my brother. Listen, we sat there. I cannot tell you how many hours watching Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher against the brother. And Bobby Heenan was just he's just the wrestling, and more in the fact that's what I do with my color commentator. I'm more of Gorilla, he's more of Bobby, and we just have fun with it. Listen, we are not the best wrestling commentators out there, guys. We just have a lot of fun calling what we call, and it's a lot of fun. So if you get the opportunity, check out Sword Championship Recipes. We just talked wrestling, with the big dog and basketball. So some good stuff there. If you were able to stomach it and you're still around and wanted to watch more, there's a couple more things I want to cover before we get on out of here. I want to go back to football and some of the things that are going on. So this was one of the things that I have actually seen that I found interesting. There's one name on here that doesn't need to be there and should not be there. Maybe two. All right. The rest of them I'll go with that need to go or are on the quote unquote wrestling hot seat. There is no question that Matt Nagy is on the wrestling hot seat. No question. And that's mainly because of the last 3 years. The Foles problem. Not having Nick Foles, and they're going back and forth, between Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles. That whole thing, I called it when it happened. I said where the Bears were going to go. I was right, although they had to back into the playoffs, because if they had a win to get in, that was it, obviously, because they lost the last game of the year. David Culley, listen, he is just a guy in a bad situation. There's a no win there unless they can get to the playoffs and everything else. So he's hot seated almost immediately. Bad thing. Mike McCarthy, I don't know if he's necessarily on a hot seat, but when you see what he was brought in for and what's going on, this is a vital year for Mike McCarthy. I do think that the Cowboys need to make the playoffs, or the hot seat it'll be turned up a little bit more. Nick Fangio is definitely on the hot seat, but this is a guy that's a victim that, God, who they got a quarterback? For God's sake, really. I feel sorry for the guy. Mike Zimmer is definitely on the hot seat. Should have been actually probably fired. So, interestingly enough, Matt LaFleur should have never been hired. And now with the Aaron Rodgers situation, they'll flow through this season with them. But if they have a shit season or they don't have an Aaron Rodgers, this guy's on a hot seat. They got to make the playoffs in order for him to keep his job. And the other one that I think is on the hot seat is Cliff Kingsbury, as far as the Arizona Cardinals are concerned. They have high hopes for Kyler Murray. Listen, like we said, if you're dumb enough to believe that Kyler Murray was healthy the last 7 games of the season, you don't know football and you're not watching the damn game. Simple as that. This guy was hurt because he was totally different, and especially in the second half of games. Never mind the second half of the season. But there's 2 guys that are on this list I don't think needs to be there. Zach Taylor. Listen, Zach Taylor might be on what it's considered a hot seat, but he's going to be there this year, and he will be there next year. Joe Burrows needs 3 years with this coach, so he ain't going anywhere. But the other guy that I think should not even be close to being on this hot seat is the last one on this is Brian Flores. Listen, you can go back in the archives of the Couch Potato Sports Show, and I will even admit it. This guy was not the right hire at the time in my eyes. But as far as having the right guy to weed them through this maze that is Miami Dolphin football, and the fact that this guy has absolutely no credentials to make any decision, they got the right guy. And not only that, I think that I think they're a good football team. I think they could be good. Now they got and they have the opportunity. The Buffalo Bills are the only credible team in the AFC East. Yeah, I said it. The Patriots with Cam Newton, I'm not expecting anything. And if you are, great, you're a Cam lover, probably. But as realistic and what you've seen last year, and listen, yes, I put the video up of him talking with him. I can't go out like this. Well, you might have to. Because I don't necessarily think this is a situation that can be fixed. And you're going to live and die by Cam Newton. And in the worst case scenario, they throw the Rook in once they realize they can't get anything done, and then they're going to see what they can get from the Rook. Now, for Patriot fans, listen, shut up. You've had what? How many years of success before Brady left? Listen, you get to go 5 years and quit your bitching because I don't want to hear it. And listen, if Tom Brady was there, you'd probably win another championship or at least be in the playoffs or at least be somebody there. But a lot of things as far as where guys are, what they're doing. Brian Flores, I mean, he's made the best at what was dealt with him. And that Tua situation, listen, I've never said that Tua was not a good quarterback. So I still get dings on this. Listen, I never said that he wasn't good. I'm saying that guy should have never been in the freaking lineup when Fitzpatrick was there when they put him in. And it was, I'm telling you right now, it was a publicity thing and everything else, the picture with him out on the field. And if this guy could go, and have 12 great years with the Miami Dolphins and become a Hall of Famer, that picture is iconic. And it was, if that's what you expect. So interestingly enough, I don't know. I probably lost Cuervo on the wrestling, so I don't know if he's there or not still listening. But some other things that I had set up, and of course, we don't get the big dog on all the time. So, by the way, thank you so much for joining us, big dog. It's been years that we could have him up on the side. Some other things I want to talk about, and you know what? Back to LeBron James, I have been called a LeBron hater, and to a certain extent, I'll accept that title. But where this guy has automatically seemed to get everybody's attention, or if he's talking, people are listening, or they should take in consideration, not just for the team that he plays for, but the NBA in general, that they're not listening to Bron. They're not listening to Bron. When he talks, he should be like E.F. Hutton. When Bron talks, people should. Yeah. Listen, Bron's got some problems, and I am not. By the way, I'm not falling for it. I put this up. This was, they all didn't want to listen to me about the start of the season. I knew exactly what would happen. I only wanted to protect the well-being of the players. Notice how he put an S on that. And I only wanted to protect the well-being of the players, which ultimately is the product and benefit of our game. These injuries isn't just part of the game. It's lack of pure rim rest and rest before starting back up. 8, possibly 9 of the stars that missed playoff games, most in league history. Parentheses, in other words, he's saying the most in league history. This is the best time of the year for our league and fans, but missing a ton of our favorite players is insane. If there's one person that knows about the body of how it works all year round, is me. Me. I speak for the health of all of our players. Yeah, right. And I hate to see as many injuries at this time of the year, but you would be celebrating if you won the championship, you hypocritical son of a bitch. And sorry, fans, wish you guys were seeing all your favorite guys right now. Like we couldn't watch any other team in the NBA except the Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. Screw you, you arrogant son of a... Unfreaking believable. The ego of this guy. oh, no one wants to watch because I'm not playing, or the superstars. Listen, I'm actually watching the NBA now because your sorry ass ain't in it, or any of the other guys that got hurt. There are other players in this league that are good. They just don't have the pull to answer the phone and say, yeah, why don't I come play with you? And for the ones that say, screw you, LeBron, I'm the best player in the world, says Stephen Curry. Because I believe that, not just because I hate LeBron James. I'm telling you right now, the best player in the NBA, right now, bar none, the beginning of the next season, Stephen Curry. Now, granted, he needs a little help. But as far as pure shoot, listen, I've been watching the game a long time. My brother will even, some of the best pure shooters, Pistol Pete Maravich, guys that are, listen, he is making them look average. And LeBron's got enough balls to come out and say this. It's really pathetic. It's really an ego gone wild. It's really a state of the NBA that says this is about 6 players in the game and everybody else can go to hell. And that's just not what basketball should be. But that's what Bron thinks. Bron thinks if he talks, I'm Pippin, people will listen, or they should. But why should they really? Why should they listen to LeBron James right now? Is he the best player in the world? Probably not. He's probably second, maybe third. You can argue. Listen, Stephen Curry's the best player in the NBA, bar none. It's straight out. Then you have to fight if you think Kevin Durant is the guy or if it's LeBron James. I'll lean to give him a little ego boost here. I'll say LeBron's better than Durant, but not by much. And there's some other guys that you can throw in there. But the fact that this guy thinks that he's the Putin of the NBA makes me hate him even more. And listen, I don't care. And I'm talking about on the court. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no better humanitarian out there than LeBron James. I'll give him all those props all day long because he deserves it. Just that school alone, what he's doing with that school and what he's doing with those kids that go to that school. Listen, if you want to bash LeBron James out on the basketball court, I'll give you all day long. You can't. You're almost not allowed to bash this guy off the court for what he does for the community. But as far as on the court, it makes me sick. By the way, I wanted to get back to this. I didn't have time to watch. Going back to Chris Sims, okay? And I found, yes, I'm back to the NBA or NFL. But Patrick Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers and Watkins, come on, or Watson, and then Wilson. Okay, that's what he put up, okay? All right, then he comes out with the quarterback rankings again. And he still has the top 5 on what he was. But then he goes on further. And I don't know who's paying attention or who's not. Tom Brady at number 10 is a bitch slap for respect. Tom Brady's top 5. I'm sorry, he's better than Deshaun Watson. So he should be at least number 4. Is he better than Russell Wilson? The rings say that story. Anybody above that? And I love me some Dak Prescott. So I'm going to tell you what I think. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Bar none. It's almost not arguable. Josh Allen, love him. He's not the second best quarterback in this league. Sorry, he's not. Aaron Rodgers is the second best quarterback in this league. And you can even argue he's the best against Patrick Mahomes, but we won't argue that point. Apples and oranges on how you feel about it. I think Patrick Mahomes is the future. Aaron Rodgers right now, just on gut. Dak Prescott needs to go way higher. He's better than Deshaun Watson. He's not better than Russell Wilson, but he's right behind him. Matthew Stafford, listen, until he plays a first few games, can we stop anointing this guy as being a really good quarterback when he doesn't even utilize all the positions out on the football field, such as tight end, which is one of the reasons why you never seen that football team get past anything, because they always tried to force the ball instead of Calvin Johnson. Which, by the way, Calvin Johnson, I got a bone to pick with people about that. Calvin Johnson. Anyway, but I don't know. Up and down, that list, there's some, Cam Newton being 20. Listen, it says there's 35 quarterbacks. I'm not 20, not 31. He's right. 20, is that too much? I don't know. Sam Darnold, is he too high? I don't know. Kirk Cousins is way too high. Matt Ryan is not the 15th best quarterback in this league. He's not. So I don't know. Sims has no clue. It's all the thing I can come up with. Dak Prescott, listen, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm just going to call it. If that guy stays healthy, he might be the MVP this year. And it's not because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I can't stand the Cowboys. But I love me some Dak Prescott. And I love me what they can do with or without him. So interestingly enough, by the way, the odds on Tom Brady, doing what he does, the most valuable player, the odds, these are the odds right now. Tom Brady is sitting at the fourth best. So why he wouldn't be considered top 5, I don't know. Dak Prescott right there. Right now, my money is on Dak Prescott being completely healthy. Patrick Mahomes will be right there. Aaron Rodgers will be right there if he plays. Josh Allen, no, I don't think so. Lamar Jackson, definitely not. Russell Wilson could be up there. But, the odds, hey, listen, Las Vegas is not building those buildings because they lose too much money. So that's in itself. But I wanted to get back to this one right here. Right here. The Dallas Mavericks and Mark Cuban, the billionaire that my shit don't stink owner of the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, I can't stand him either. Arrogant son of a gun. But that being said, man, did Porzingis bring down the Dallas Mavericks? Did the move Porzingis and this whole situation bringing him in, did that prompt what you're looking at as far as Donnie Nelson gone? Rick Carlisle loved this guy, so much so that Carlisle says if Nelson's not there, I'm not there. So what is that saying? Listen, I can go back into the day and listen. And listen, and here's what. Let me preface this. And I know my brother, if he's watching, he's getting ready with bated fingertips at what I'm about ready to say. But can Dirk Nowitzki be one of the most overrated basketball players in NBA history? My feelings, yes. But he's got all the numbers that makes him a Hall of Famer. Now, Dirk Nowitzki is a Hall of Famer. There's a difference between Dirk Nowitzki and Frank Gore. Sorry, there is. Okay. Dirk Nowitzki should get into the NBA Hall of Fame before Frank Gore can even sniff the bad smell of the NFL underwear, okay? But I'm going to tell you straight out right now, that I think Dirk Nowitzki is overrated. And then I want to know, mainly, when he was in his prime, how come no one was coming? I got theory. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to say what my theory is without offending people. I'll just say it. I'll just say it. Can you name me any person in the NBA that is top 20 that would want to come to Dallas? No one came. Dirk was on a roll. They had Jason. They had all the. How come they couldn't pull one of the big stars to this basketball team? Is it Mark Cuban? Which, listen, I don't buy, by the way, billionaire owners are not the reason why guys don't go to basketball teams. If anything, it gives them more encouragement to go. No one wanted to share the spotlight with Dirk Nowitzki. I wonder why that is. And another day, another time, we'll dig deep into that. Interestingly enough, saw this. I put this out there. I thought the true NFL divisions of football, I can't even argue it. I think it's spot on. I think it's spot on. And would I like to see this? The answer is yes. Because why the Dallas Cowboys are in the NFC East makes no sense. But when you do what this idea is, it changes the NFC and AFC kind of monikers of what they do and how they play, and you mix them with the NFC. The AFC and the NFC, I think, are different monsters. I think you see a different type of football between the AFC and the NFC. I really do think, and I think, to me, it's so obvious, I think it's huge. But I like this. I like this setup. I like the way, if it ever worked, it would work out like this. You have, in the AFC East, 4 teams that are no more than 200 miles away from each other. That is the AFC East. The AFC South, a little bit more travel when you put the Texans in it, because believe me, it's a long way. But I get it and I understand it. I think I agree with it. The Dallas Cowboys in the AFC West, no, not really. But see, I don't, why? So part of it I agreed with, but why would they not be in the Central? Because the AFC on this list don't even have a Central. They don't have any Centrals on this at all. And there are some teams within the Central that I think you could do. So if you took the Centrals out, make it North, South. Well, hold on. There, the NFC South. There it is. Sorry, mark that. So you're looking at the South. In the NFC South, I like it. But should it be named, and this is what I'm saying, should that have been named the NFC East South? Because there's some South over in the, if you did the NFC South over on the west side. See, it's just all about protect, but I do kind of like the lineup. There are a couple teams that are outside the box, I think, but more and more, I think I would like this because I would like to see the mix between AFC and NFC. I would. I'd like to see it. So interestingly enough, I thought that was interesting. I saw that up on the what we do there. So, but really, guys, that's all I had. What a great show. Which, by the way, we had Cuervo today. Awesome. Glad he was able to join us. By the way, it's 3. We almost put in 3 hours on this one. We were only going to go 2. I'd like to thank the big dog for joining us. Obviously, talking a little wrestling and basketball. Maybe we'll be able to get him in next year when we can talk about basketball. I want to see more crowds. So, this year I kind of, but I am watching. I want to see the Phoenix Suns win the championship. Just with the ties with Phoenix that I have, I would love to see that. Bron needs to just shut up. Of course, that's just the regular thing that it's all about. But take away from that, I don't have that much more. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and bail for the rest of the day. Hope everybody has a great Monday. Glad we were able to get some people on Monday. So we will be back at 3:30 on Sunday, back at our regular time. Unless Cuervo needs to kick it to Monday, we may do that. So if we do that, I'll keep everybody informed. So that's going to do it for me. So for the big dog and for the MVP, Cuervo, I'm Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio. Everybody have a great Monday. We'll catch you Sunday. Bye-bye.